Hey guys, what's up? Sorry for the long wait. I was having some issues with my StreamYard, so it kept on logging me out. As I would log in, it like kept on automatically logging me out. I've never experienced that before. That was really weird. So in any case, thank you for being here. Today I wanted to speak about Galamsey and actually go deep into this because this is an actual real issue that's been happening in Ghana for a very long time. And it's actually gotten out of hand. It was something that when it first happened, no one really took seriously, but now it's honestly an environmental issue, and it's an issue that if Ghanaians don't take care, they literally will um, they literally can lose their land because it's illegal mining. And the problem with the illegal mining is not that people are taking their resources, but it's that after they finish taking their resources, they just leave the land. So I'll show you guys some pictures. By the way, if you guys are here, just let me know that you're here, okay? Because I'm using a different platform and I would like to know at least if my sound and everything's okay. But before I go further into it, I'll just play a video in which Wodamaya was explaining this. This was about 3 years ago when it first happened, as opposed to basically what's happening right now.
Destroying the land, they are destroying the resources, they are destroying a lot of things. I'm not here to blame anybody, but I'll try and interview some Chinese people. I'll also try and interview the locals about the negative effect of small-scale mining in here. I told you that I'm gonna bring you to this place. This is the place all of you have been waiting for. We call this, I don't know how to call it, they said Galamsey, which simply means gather and sell. Gather and sell. It's also an illegal mining here in Ghana where people extract gold. All right, Wa Huanjin. Chinese people will say Wa Huanjin. All right. So as you can see, this whole big land has been destroyed by my people. Ayamaya has been destroyed by Chinese people. I just don't get it. Okay, this place used to be a farmland. People grow their cocoa, people grow their plantain, people grow rice. You can see both left and right. You see, all this place used to be a farmland. As you can see, this place they grow cocoa over here. But currently, look at where I'm standing. The land has been destroyed. Ayamaya, all in the name of gold. They dig gold. This is illegal mining. This is not legal mining. This is illegal mining. When I came here, they were even scared. They thought that I'm a police or something, but I'm not policeman. I'm just Mr. Wada Maya. I am Maya. I asked most of them, why are you doing this to Africa? They said Africans don't know how to use their own resources, so they are here to come for it for them. I am Maya. They are making a lot of money out of Africa by destroying our land. At least if you finish, try and do something about it. But you can see there is water flowing. They will never do anything like this. They will just leave the land like this and leave back to their country. But I don't blame them. I'm just a free man. I don't know whom to blame, but you can blame somebody, whether to blame Chinese people or whether to blame the leaders of this land we call Africa. That's my home. That's my home. I love this continent so much. But look at what money has done to this continent. We have money in our country, but there is no how to use it. So they are here to exploit it for us. You can never buy a land in China, but here is it Africa. This is Africa, my brother. Welcome to Africa. The whole of this big land has been destroyed by them in the aim of digging for gold. They dig. In Chinese we say Huangjin. They are digging Huangjin over here. I asked most of them, why are you guys doing this? They said because African people did not know that there is gold here, so they are here to discover it for them. You understand? So I don't know whether it's the fault of we Africans or it's the fault of Chinese people. I'm not here to blame anybody, but if you have anybody to blame, just leave a comment and let me know. Hey, go man.
Hey.
Ni hao. Ni like jana mood is so.
Oh man.
Ni like jana mood is so. Did you not like jana the movie? The mock.
这个目的就是我们来做这个
挖黄金吗？
啊？
挖什么？挖黄金还是什么？
你可以这么说。
我可以这么说。I have one of the locals here. I want to ask him the effect of small-scale mining in here. That is the Galamsey. Mr. Gentleman, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please, can you share with me the effect this community faced because of the Galamsey?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can share with you. First of all, I will talk about our cocoa productivity because this town is mainly for cocoa farmers. They always farm here. So, because of this skill mining here, the land that should be used for cocoa farming has been used for this mining. So we can't even get a place to do our cocoa farming. So it has brought about this low production of our cocoa here. And I can also talk about the land. After they have let the land bare, we cannot use it for anything, such as planting, cassava, yam, maize, and those things. So we are here suffering because we don't have a place to even cultivate anything to eat. So from the numerous effects, I think this is what I can say about the effect of the small-scale mining here.
Okay, but when I was coming, I realized that my driver was telling me that they've destroyed all the water bodies. How true is that? Because I saw that the color of the water has changed. How true is that? Does it affect the water bodies in here?
In fact, it is true. It is true. That's what I said. It is what I've said is out of the numerous, I've just mentioned only two of them. But for the water bodies, it's so severe. We can't even get water to drink. If you can get water to drink, unless the borehole or this sachet water that we drink, you have to always buy. All our water bodies have been destroyed by this small-scale mining.
All our water bodies has been destroyed by this small-scale mining. So I will leave it to you guys to judge whether to blame Africans or Chinese people.
Yeah, hey guys, what's up? So, and I've been watching a lot of videos, especially lately, about Ghanaians speaking about this. And in most of those videos, they just blame Chinese. And to be honest, Ghanaians are going to call me a sellout for this, but you can't blame the Chinese. You have to blame yourself first because you let these people into your country. How are you going to expect that a foreigner is going to treat your land good? Like, in what world does a foreigner treat your land good? In what world does that happen? So, Ghanaians, you have to do something about this. And this is not something that has only started to happen in 2021, by the way. This has the starting of this was starting in early 2000. So 2000, 2005, but it took off around 2008, 2009. So the previous presidents, before this president, Nana Akufo-Addo, the previous presidents knew about this. They weren't firm in doing anything about it. Now in 2021 is when you want to say, oh, you're doing a war on Galamsey. Why didn't the war on Galamsey start a long time ago? Why is it now when more of those illegal people, those people who are doing illegal mining are in your country, is now when you want to be tough? You should have been tough about this from the beginning. So I know people will say Chinese, but Ghanaians do this themselves too. Anyways, Galamsey means, what does it mean? Galamsey means gather and sell. So that's what the word Galamsey means. It's illegal, obviously, because legal mining is the one in which the mining companies actually mine for gold. So this is illegal. This is not allowed, right? This is not allowed, but people are doing it because they want to make money, right? So the Chinese and Ghanaians do this because they want to make money. The difference between the Chinese and the Ghanaians who do this is the Ghanaians who do this usually they don't like they're not as harsh with it because it's their country, so they still kind of like take care to not break too many rules. But obviously, the Chinese who do this don't care because there's nothing, they're just taking the money and going back to China or taking the money and going to wherever else they want to go. So obviously, the Chinese are going to follow the rules, but both the Chinese and Ghanaians do this. All right. So this started again in 2008, 2009. That was when John Atta Mills was president. Um, and there was like a gold rush that still is happening in Ghana. Like there was a gold rush that basically during the early 2000s, everybody was mining because they needed money. In Ghana, the job sector is not that great. So it's easier for you to even do galamsey than for you to do farming, for instance. Yeah, so what usually tends to happen is at first the Ghanaians were mostly doing it for money because once you sell gold you'll make money every day type of thing. But then what started to happen is, I guess, out of the Ghanaians doing this, the Chinese started to notice that the Ghanaians do this, and so then a lot of them got to Ghana. It's certain parts of Ghana, by the way. You're not gonna obviously see this if you go to Accra, if you go to Cantonment, if you go to airport, if you go to state. You're not gonna see this obviously in the big cities. This happens in the rural areas, right? The secluded jungle, foresty areas where there's acres, 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 acres of land, where there's secrecy. This is where this stuff type like happens most commonly. So, anyways, going a bit deeper into this, the number of galamseys in Ghana is unknown, but the estimate is that there are 20,000 to 50,000 people who are doing this, including thousands from China. So again, the Chinese are a minority in this, but the Chinese learned this from somebody, okay? The Chinese didn't just come to Ghana and knew where all of the gold reserves are. Somebody, a trader, like always, showed them, okay, this is where you can mine this is where you can mine that. And another way in which the Chinese were able to do this is also by actually opening up this illegal mining companies right beside the legal ones. So what they'll do is if there's a legal mining company about a couple of kilometers or a couple of miles away, they'll open their own center close to the legal one. That's like the smartest way in which how they do it. But in any case, 200,000 people estimated are doing galamsey, which is illegal mining in Ghana now. There are nearly 3 million people who depend on this for their livelihoods. So about 3 million people depend on this for their livelihoods. You have the miners, you have the excavators, you have the managers, you have the people who pick the mines. It's not common that these mines collapse, but it has happened in the past, obviously. And then the other aspect of galamsey is as they're doing galamsey, as they're doing this illegal mining, they actually open up illegal mining towns. So then there's like little community centers in which they open up stores, they open up chop bars. Chop bars are like restaurants. So they actually open up businesses around these illegal mines. It is such a cash grab, but it's actually so sad. I will go into the environmental impacts of this, but before I do that, I'll show a clip of how this galamsey apparently used to not be that bad, but how now it's bad. So I'm just gonna do that. Give me a second. All right. Let me see if I can find it.
These young men are hard at work mining for gold in the eastern region of Ghana. What they're doing is illegal. They haven't gone through the stringent process of trying to get a license, but they're here with the consent of the landowner. Illegal mining, or Galamsey as it's called here, is taking place in countless sites like this across Ghana. The miners don't want to be filmed, but the leader of this group agreed to talk to us about why they're doing this.
This Galamsey here, at least every day you can get something to feed your family. And that's why everybody is putting himself and pushing himself into this system to support your livelihood. You see, that's it.
But the work is dangerous. Is it worth it? It's so dangerous.
Oh, okay, if you take good care of it, it's not so much dangerous as you are saying.
They divert entire waterways in search of gold, and once they finish with a site, they often just abandon it. The small-scale miners who are licensed and regulated are required to reclaim the land. This group have been here for about a month now, and they say in the next few days they're actually going to be wrapping up. Now, they also say they're going to reclaim this land, but from what we've seen in this area so far, that just doesn't seem to be happening. This is just one of the abandoned sites we came across. And this is what's left of the River Brim, which runs through the area of Chebi. The methods the illegal miners use make the water murky and too dirty for the local community to use.
They normally treat with mercury and then cyanide. And these chemicals are also deadly for our health. Bear in mind that the water they are dealing with are for drinking purposes.
The boss of the government body in charge of regulating the mining industry admits that more needs to be done to tackle the problem.
We were not firm enough to stem the problem when it started. We did not nip it in the bud. So I think it is now for us to deal with it. We need the traditional leadership to be involved. We need the district assemblies to be involved. We need the public, the mindset, the public support.
The threat of arrest or prosecution is no deterrent for the illegal operators. The police regularly catch some of the miners.
You arrest them, put them before court. The next time you find him at the pit again with machine. Then when you go back again, say, I have been given court order to go and.
Okay, guys, so I hope you guys saw a little bit of that clip, especially when you guys saw how dirty the water was. And what happens is when that water is there, it stays there. Like after they finish, because they use water to excavate, to basically separate the soil from the gold. So what happens after they're done with their operations, they just leave the water like that. Like they just leave the land polluted and ugly like that. And then there are also chemicals in the water that they use. So they use cyanide, they use mercury, they probably use some other chemicals that are really, really bad. It's horrible for the ecosystem, okay? It's horrible for the wildlife, not just the marine wildlife, but the wildlife in the air, like birds and stuff like that. This water obviously evaporates into the air. It ruins the soil that's around that area. Okay, there's so many issues with this whole illegal mining thing that video, by the way, was from I think 3 or 4 years ago. So they didn't really, I guess, understand the impacts of what they were doing. But there's actually so many long-term effects with this thing that a lot of people don't realize, and it's so sad because in the beginning, a lot of Ghanaians argued, okay, we need a way to make money. We have gold, so let's make money from it. But now people are looking back and they're like, wait, the short-term money we got from this gold is not actually worth us ruining our acres of land and not cleaning up after. As bad as the legal companies are, a lot of the legal companies, at least what they'll do is after they make a mess, they'll clean it up. Like they actually have budgets set in place to clean up their messes. But with this small scale illegal farming, no regulations, they could just do whatever they want. So they're literally destroying the land and they're leaving. And the Ghanaians that are doing this, they're destroying their land and they're just letting it be destroyed. And they just don't a lot of them, especially the village ones, like the real village ones, don't understand the impact of what they're doing. This is a very, very serious issue. So they said that the Galamsey people who who work in these corporations are usually people who don't have enough money to do farming anyways, or not enough money to do large scale farming, which is why they try to go for this illegal route. Um, there have been cases of mercury poisoning from obviously the materials that they use, the runoff. So the runoff of the water gets into some other places, and that causes cases of mercury poisoning, which is not reported enough, but it's something that does happen. And the fear is, as this happens more, or as it gets harder to kind of stop this Galamsey operations, that obviously there's going to be more cases of people being poisoned. There's going to be more cases of possibly animals being poisoned. There's going to be cases of maybe even little children being poisoned because of these chemicals that are basically foreign to a lot of these spaces. Because a lot of these spaces in which they're running these illegal operations, it's usually virgin land. It's usually, you know, land that hasn't been touched, like it's good land. So now you're polluting virgin land and you don't see the impacts of doing that. It is something that's really bad. And again, a lot of present day Ghanaians are blaming Nana Akufo-Addo. In as much as I don't respect Nana Akufo-Addo, I like him, but I don't respect him. In as much as I don't respect him, it's not his fault, because this was an issue, again, I mentioned earlier in the live stream, this is an issue that's been happening at least mainstream. I remember this happening mainstream around 2008, 2009. So how are you going to blame something that's been happening over 10 years, and you're expecting the current president to literally completely abandon things that had been happening for 10 years? Like, that's, Ghanaians need a lot. If you actually watch a lot of the Ghanaian videos, especially the Ghanaians on the continent, they go so hard in insulting Nana Akufo-Addo over this. It's not his fault. I believe he's trying. I don't know. But this is the previous president's fault, who let this stuff happen. Like, how are, and I know I'm going back and forth, but I'm trying to explain that Ghanaians do this, and so do the Chinese. But now the focus is on the Chinese who are doing it, right? So the problem is, if you're going to be mad at the Chinese for doing this, why did you let them come into your countries? Why are your visa processes so easy for you to travel into that country? Like, I don't know if anyone in here has ever traveled before. I've traveled many times. You cannot just go to a country without, if you're flying into a country, you're flying into the airport, right? So as soon as you get to the airport, you meet border police, you meet somebody, you have to get your visa. Like, someone will ask you, what are you doing in this country? What are your intentions in this country? Blah, 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 blah. But the problem with a lot of African countries, especially Ghana, is it's so easy to get into that country. So then Ghanaians will sit here and be like, oh, how did Chinese get in there? Are you serious? What do you mean, how did Chinese get in there? Like, people think that to get into Ghana, all you need to do is fly to Ghana. No, you don't need to fly to Ghana. You do not need to fly to Ghana. In fact, what some people have been doing is they'll fly to a different country and then they'll take a car to Ghana. Last time, it wasn't too long ago, there were some people, I'm not going to name their nationality, but they went into Ghana. How did they get there? They flew to Togo and then they took a boat ride to Ghana. So it's like, if your border controls are not great, and then you just let anybody basically come to your country, and then they come and they do this, and then when Ghanaians confront the Chinese about what they're doing, these are the responses that the Chinese give them. Pay attention to what this person.
How many years have you been in Ghana?
10 years.
10 years. Wow. How do you see the country?
Oh, it's a beautiful country. I like it here. Same like my second hometown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Your second hometown. You love Ghana.
Yeah.
But second, there is this issue of Chinese and Galamsey. What do you know? Is that really the case?
No, really, Chinese don't have any Galamsey because Ghana he no longer is fortunately do Galamsey, but it's Ghanaian people he can do small scale mining, but he no have money, but he need our Chinese people technical engineer and system is in machine, and the Ghanaian people interest for Chinese people coming together partner, and do is small scale mining. That's where I do that. We are rent machine for Ghanaian people, and to get a partner, I do for mining.
Oh, okay. That means no one can blame the Chinese. If someone is to be blamed, is the Ghanaian.
Chinese earlier, Chinese single Chinese people no can do any mining for Ghana, because Chinese people he doesn't know where is it half gold, where half is land. If your house you don't know me, how can you enter your house? That is a partner here, fine for us, and because we have a machine, we are happy for them together do business.
So, how do you feel when you hear, let's sack the Chinese from Ghana, they are spoiling our water? How do you feel?
No, really, we are Chinese not spoil water because water side also 70% is Ghanaian people. He do Changfa machine, small use empty drums put for Changfa machine. He broken for waters. Chinese people is, I know, so no is close, too close is the water side. That way I know, because I know go there, because you only rent machine for Ghanaian people. If our company also have a machine, rent every day charge for them, give the business.
Okay. So you guys heard basically what the Chinese guy said, right? He was basically interviewing him and he was like, okay, so what do you have to say in regards to people are saying Chinese have to leave Ghana, Chinese are doing illegal things, blah, 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 blah. And long story short, his English was horrible, but English is not his language. But he was basically saying, no, it's not Chinese, this is a partnership. It's both of us are doing this. So he was so quick to actually take the blame off of him. And then he went in later on into interview and he was talking about, oh, well, the Ghanaians know the land, but we, the Chinese, have the technology to do this and that and this and that and this and that. So long story short, in a nice way, he was basically saying, this is your problem, not mine. You guys are the ones letting us in here, and all we're doing is doing what we want to do, but you're letting us do what we want to do. So then why are you then complaining that we're destroying your land when this is your land? You're the one who's showing us where these gold mines are, but we're the problem. And I completely agree with him. And I know Ghanaians are going to be mad at me. I don't care. Listen, your government is the one who let these people in. Your government is the one, when this was happening 10 years ago, they thought it was cute. Now it's a problem. Now you want to blame the Chinese. Classical African thinking. There's the same Ghanaians will say there's too many Nigerians in Ghana. How did the Nigerians get there? Who let them get there? It wasn't you. It wasn't your government, but you're just going to say there's too many Nigerians in Ghana. Like, the lack of accountability in some African governments is absolutely ridiculous. I will show you another response. There's so many, but I'll just show you one more. Another response of a Chinese person actually basically saying this is not our fault. This is Ghana's fault. This is Ghanaians doing.
Don't know, don't control your money. We are not the owners. Chinese people don't know where there is gold. If you don't issue visas to Chinese people cannot enter into your country. They don't know where is the money. They cannot able to enter your country. How could we be able to do Galamsey in your country? Why? The question should be answered. Why? That is the support of the local Chinese.
Okay, so again, he was like, how would Chinese be able to get in here if it wasn't the help of Ghanaians? If it wasn't Ghanaians that showed them blah, 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 this and that, and this and that. And he's completely right. Anyways, basically, and shout out to everybody who just came in. I'm talking about Ghana's illegal mining problem. They're mining gold illegally. Gold is obviously already mined legally by mining companies who actually go through stringent, strict processes. They go through testing of their equipment. They actually go through legal international standards and procedures for them to be able to operate. But what's happening and what has been happening in rural parts of Ghana for some time now is that people are mining gold basically illegally. They're just using some type of just random equipment that they're using to mine gold. And they're actually also polluting a lot of these rural areas. See, mining gold in itself is not that bad. Like, of course, mine it, but you're mining it and then you're destroying the land. That is it's ridiculous. Like it doesn't make any sense at all. And right now, basically, there's a war, not a war, but amount of about apparently 1.6 million Asians, whereas Ghana has about 1 million. Okay, the last time I checked, it was 700,000, but Ghana has about 1 million Chinese in there. So a lot of these African countries don't actually have don't have a lot of Chinese, but with the exception of Ghana, there actually are a lot of Chinese in there. And obviously, this gold, illegal gold mining has a lot to do with it. And it's pretty bad. But I'm just gonna go through it and yeah. But let me know what you guys think about this thing. Do you guys think this is a big deal or not? I'm gonna try to explain this as much as possible because this has been a problem in Ghana for ever since 2008. But for whatever reason, Ghanaians didn't do much about it. And now every day they'll complain to their president about how things are getting out of hand. But these are the same traders. These are the same traders in the rural areas, the Asante Hines, the kings, the chiefs, or whatever, are the ones who sell the land, right? The kings and the chiefs and all those people are the ones who sell the land. So you're already rich, you're already corrupt, whatever. Why are you then now selling land? You already have money, but you're selling land to random Asian people who don't even have work permits to your country. They're on holiday visa maybe or whatever, and you're selling them acres of land. Like the amount of irresponsibility that is on all sides is just, it's even embarrassing to talk about it, to be honest. It's really heartbreaking to talk about the traitorship and the irresponsibility that has happened to this. So I feel bad, but at the same time, like those chiefs and those nanas and those people who have money, because in Ghana, what happens in Ghana mostly is the chiefs and the nanas are the ones who own the land, right? For the most part. Land is not owned by the government. It's mostly owned by the royalty, the royal families. So the royal families are selling this land to the Chinese and to other Galamseyers, people who do Galamsey, and they keep doing it. They keep selling the land. And there's no follow-ups, there's no checkups, there's no organizations. So people can literally get 30 acres of land for a good deal, do whatever they want to that land. And that is evident. And that seems to be happening quite too much, to be quite honest. You know, that seems to be happening way, way, way too often. It's really sad how Ghana takes about 10% of its profit legally from gold, and then someone else is stealing the profit from this illegal mining. Like somebody else is actually stealing this profit too, on top of ruining the land and on top of not being accountable to actually clean the land. I'll show you guys an example if I can. This is really bad, by the way. I know some people just came in and you probably don't understand, but they're polluting the land because they have to use harsh chemicals to actually extract the gold from the soil to separate the gold. So all these chemicals are actually ending up on the land that was once used basically just for farming or land that was just there. And at the end of the day, nobody's accountable for this. Nobody gets in trouble for any of this stuff. The chiefs that sell this land, the sellout chiefs and nanas that sell these people these land, they don't get in trouble. Because in Africa, you have to respect the royalty. So even if the royalty is doing something bad, it's really hard to hold the royalty accountable, which is probably another reason why the royalty gets away with doing this. So now the government doesn't know who to even go after because the government is trying to go after some of the royalty. But in the case of Nana Akufo-Addo, which is why I feel bad for him, even though I don't like him, I do feel
people have to survive. And as Bob Marley said, you cannot sit by the river and then die of thirst.
Yeah, Kuyajuma. Oh, this team. My problem is we are Kuyajuma na. Is a bay away. Over finding in Asia in our break. Only will be any over the top. Into Tiana, which are now team. The home is a Galamsey, go do assassin. And I shall say, the hoarding by a Nisica behind Fidi by the hoarding able to form near Payanodian. You 2 years, you 2 years, Yaka cried about Toby and Eddie. And I'm about to say you 2 assassin.
These mining, what we call the Galamsey, they are sort of uninvited guests. As soon as any area comes up for mining, they also rush there. It's just like rush for gold that happened in America.
There are those who do it purely for livelihood reasons. These are those who live in the communities. They are indigents. They grew up in the communities. If you check their background, you realize that they are children of parents who lost their farmlands to large-scale surface mining companies. The mining company took over their lands very little or no compensation was paid, and therefore they had to either drop out of school or they couldn't continue after the basic level. So they don't have the skills, they don't have the certificate, the academic certificates to even gain employment in the mine. So what do? They are forced to go into small scale mining or Galamsey as a form of survival. They need to survive. That is one class of people. There is also the other class of people. They are in for commercial reasons.
Menkwana me adwuma wa one day betima ye bese 200,000 150 300,000 che skani ni ontra na kan pese me ko pejuma bia ye na ma jawe kan pese me ala na ma yeska na ma ko pejuma fufuru na ma ye kan me bese ye djuma wali djuma betima ko akwaye hon mo de o ye de o betima ye de obetima tete ona ko bi o shop na de wontumi ye fi semu obi a obetima ye djuma wa na obi batuma ba be pam ma akọ nche amoko school obi so la na pa school fees no ko chere se tesi
The last statistics I read, the 2004 figures from the Minerals Commission, indicates that small-scale miners contributed up to 34% of total gold production. So that tells you the potential in the sector. We can look at the national level. They are contributing this much to our total.
Okay, so that was basically how it started. That video was from like 3 years ago, right? But the problem is that's how it started, but this is how it's ending.
Joy News has discovered over 30 fully armed military personnel protecting miners pillaging the Manso Forest in the Ashanti region. This is despite the government's announced withdrawal of all military personnel from mining sites across the country. Erastus Asaridonko reports there was a standoff between the military personnel protecting the miners and the Environmental Sustainability Task Force of the Ministry of Environment, to the extent that the Joy News team carrying the operations of the task force was attacked and had its vehicle and camera damaged.
The team's journey to this part of Manso and its forest saw scenes of destruction. Abandoned pits and mining settlements dot the road leading into the remaining part of the forest. After dodging water-filled, dangerous open pits, we arrived at this mining settlement deep within the forest enclave. 7 Chinese nationals were quickly located and arrested. Leader of the team conducted a search room by room. There were indications of military presence.
From what we are seeing here, it looks like there are some military men involved in this whole activity in this forest. Because you are looking at their uniforms, even some have names on them, but we did not meet any of them. But looking at it, I think the military were the people protecting them here to do this illegal job.
Okay, so what are we doing with the uniforms?
First of all, we need to retrieve them and then ascertain as to who sanctioned their duties here.
So these are military accoutrements. You can find names on them. This one is Camel. This one is Camel. We have the other one, Amwani.
Okay, so basically, yeah, long story short, that video is showing a news report of there was literally the Chinese nationals or whatever literally had military personnel who they hired to protect them doing illegal operations. What is going on? What is even happening? Are you serious? People who are going to the country and not following the rules are literally hiring soldiers to protect them? So if Ghana used their police against the military, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? What kind of crookedness is this? Like, this is really bad. This is horrible. Absolutely horrible. It's These are just some of the cases that are public. There are obviously so many cases. As I mentioned earlier in this stream, there's about roughly estimated now there's probably 100,000 illegal miners in there doing this. And this is the problem. Who are you supposed to hold accountable for this? Because Ghanaians are here every day sitting saying, let's get the Chinese out, let's get the Chinese out. But how did they get there? And how did they get the confidence to do this? A lot of Ghanaians have been saying that, you know what, the kings and queens, the people who own the land, who are selling this land to these people, should also be held accountable. It shouldn't just be the Chinese foreign nationals who are doing this. As we saw in so many of these clips, the Chinese are like, we wouldn't be able to do this if you guys didn't show us the way. We wouldn't be able to do this if you guys didn't sell us the land. We wouldn't be able to do this if you guys didn't tell us where the gold is. But Ghanaians want to just put the blame on Chinese. No, you can't do that. This is your fault. This is the crooked kings and queens that they literally just sell land to everybody. Like, who? Ugh, it's honestly the worst thing ever. And this is obviously happening in areas where it's rural people. So usually, even unfortunately, people who couldn't go to school, they couldn't finish school, people who don't have much to live for, and those are the people who are being hired by the Chinese as well. So in as much as, yeah, it makes me angry for me to see Ghanaians ruin their land, if this Chinese person is offering them a job, they're gonna go for it. So much so that even your soldiers, your military soldiers, who are supposed to protect, I guess, Ghanaians, oh no, they're being hired by Chinese because of money. It's like the morality is just disgusting. It is really bad. There's so many, personally, I think there's so many people to blame for this. But it's not that I don't like Chinese. No, it's not that I love Chinese or I'm trying to defend them, but at the same time, they're not the number one problem here. At least in the way that I see it, they're not the number one problem. They're arrogant, they're losers, but they're only letting you do what you let them do. That's just the way that I see it personally. But to all the Ghanaians who want to always lack accountability, come, please tell me how this is not Ghanaians' fault. Please tell me how this is not your fault too. Please tell me. I would like to know. I would really like to know. I really would. Because again, if you've ever traveled before, you know you can't just go to someone's country. Like, you should vet the people who are coming to your country. Like, there needs to be more vetting. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare to actually know that these people are ruining acres and acres and acres of your land. In the video that we played earlier, somebody was saying that that land that they had was land that they used to actually grow stuff on. Now, after the Galamsey, they can't grow anything on that land. So people are literally ruining your land and then they're going back to their country. And that doesn't bother you enough. They literally go there, do all their illegal operations. First and foremost, if somebody's doing something illegal in your country, they should get arrested and deported. There shouldn't even be a let's talk about it. No, there shouldn't be any negotiations. If they're not getting arrested, they should immediately get deported. But I don't know what they're doing. I have no idea what they're doing. When your land literally, it's disgusting. It's honestly gross. But what I wanted to say though, before I go any further, is that there have been some type of recent reports where there have been children who are being born with certain defects because of the water supplies from these illegal mining operations. So it's already starting to happen in very, very small scale types of incidences, but it's happening. And it's like, who are Ghanaians waiting for? Like the ones on the continent, who are they waiting for to fix this? You know? How is it possible that someone has such arrogance to come to your country and do this? And then how is it possible also that the people of your country feel like there's no other option? So the only option is for them to do illegal mining in which they're actually ruining their land. How is that possible? It's just really, really sad when you think about it. And it's like, nobody wants to, like, everybody is just acting like it's not their problem, that there's nothing that they can do about it. And it's like, you need to change your laws ASAP, because the fact that Asians, Chinese people in particular, feel so comfortable to come to your country and do this is a problem. The fact that you yourselves do this to your country is a serious problem. You know, these acres that get ruined from these chemicals, guess what happens to those acres? Nothing. They just sit there. The land just sits there. So there aren't even operations to actually take care of the land after it's been damaged. So you're literally ruining your land for pennies. For pennies. You're literally doing that. It's like, it's honestly so frustrating. And I don't even know what to say, but it's not good at all, to be honest. It's not. Recently, there was an operation in which they sent 200, I believe, 200 military personnel to arrest more of these illegal people who are doing this illegal mining. But I'll explain why, even though I'm kind of happy about that, why I'm kind of not that happy about it either. I'll explain a little bit.
As part of measures to combat Galamsey, government deployed 200 military personnel tasked with flushing out illegal miners on the River Pram. After the 3-day mission dubbed Operation Halt, the team destroyed 9 excavators, 127 champagne machines, and 1 fuel pump. The operation also led to the arrest of some Chinese nationals. Outlining the scope of work of the team, the Minister of Defense, Dominic Nitiwul, warned that the armed men drawn from the Ghana Armed Forces will take action against persons who return to the cleared sites.
The Ghana Air Force provided air cover and took aerial photographs of the operations. And by 18 hours, which is 6 p.m., when operations were halted for the day, 2 Chinese nationals were arrested at Atieku near Chufuprasu in the Central region. The Chinese, Wei Gang Ying and Wei Gang Ming, have all been handed over to the National Security for further interrogation. They will be prosecuted.
Dominic Nitiwul also spelled out the future of the operation, noting that the deployed personnel will patrol Galamsey endemic regions where river bodies and forest reserves have been polluted through illegal mining.
This operation will be conducted on all major river and forest reserves in all Galamsey endemic regions. Let me repeat. It will be conducted in all river bodies, the major river bodies and forest reserves in all Galamsey endemic regions throughout the country to rid them of illegal mining activities. And take note of what I'm just going to say. There will be aerial patrols where GAF has already swept past. Armed men will be authorized to take action, immediate action, on anyone who returns to these river bodies as the patrol goes by air.
The military high command took the opportunity to refute claims that its men have arrested about 200 illegal miners along River Pra in the central region as part of Operation Halt. The command has also debunked reports that the team seized 200 excavators. The acting chief of Defense Intelligence, Brigadier General Abraham Insia Yabua, clarified what transpired during the 3-day exercise.
Before the operation started, there have been consultations and meetings, stakeholder consultations, and they have been warned of this operation being launched on that specific date. So before the operation was launched, a lot of people have advised themselves. And again, the operation was launched on a Wednesday. And for our information, the people who live on the Pra River have a custom that says that Wednesday they don't go to the river. So at the time of the operation, there was no local there. There were no indigenous. There were only 2 Chinese who were arrested. So that information about arrested 200 Ghanaians is never true.
The latest addition to the fight against illegal mining was the setting up of a monitoring and evaluation desk to see to the implementation of the latest ban on mining activities in forest reserves and river bodies. The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo, spoke on the latest development.
You see, having suspended activities, if you have equipment in forest reserves for which you were deploying for the purposes of prospecting, exploration, or recognizance, evacuate them. So the deadline is today. At the level of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, we have put together a monitoring and evaluation team headed by the Honorable Benito, MP from Wabieja, who is the Deputy Minister in my ministry. And that monitoring team is going to come out with a statement this afternoon with establishing a situation room. We are putting out telephone lines. Ghanaians can call to report that I live in Apamprama. There's a forest reserve. People are still engaged in prospecting there, or people are mining a forest reserve. The monitoring team will then alert the national security architectural apparatus so they can move in.
Okay, so yeah, basically, I mean, I suppose they're trying, I suppose they're doing something, but it's just, I personally don't think that's enough. I do like the call center, that's nice. That's a good step, but I still don't understand why it took, wait, hold on, let me actually count. So 9, 10, 11, 12. No, wait, hold on one second. 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. It took literally almost 14 years for them to do something about this. Wow, this is just absolutely embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. Shout out to everybody who's here. I'm talking about illegal mining as it pertains not only to the Chinese, but to the Ghanaians who also do it. But to the Ghanaians who also do it, the difference between the Ghanaians and the Chinese who do it, obviously the Ghanaians, it's their country, it's their land. They're going to do it in a better way. But the Chinese who do it, literally do it, get their money, and then they just leave. They leave the area polluted. They leave the land looking really bad. They don't take the proper cleaning systems and mechanisms to do it. And first and foremost, before everyone even like tries to defend the Chinese in regards to this, this is illegal. This is not even supposed to happen. This is illegal. It's not allowed. So I don't know if Ghanaians should just say that it's not allowed for everybody to do. Because even if you say that it's not allowed for everybody to do, Ghanaians do this as well. It's just the way in which they do it is less harsh than the Chinese do it. But the Chinese have been doing it a lot lately, you know, after realizing that they could get away with doing this and that you're not going to get arrested. The worst that might happen to you is that you get deported, but you can still bring your family to come and do it anyways. It seems like more and more Chinese have been coming to the land and they've been doing this. And this is something that Ghanaians have been complaining about a lot for the past, let's say, the time I remember Ghanaians complaining about it a lot is like 2016, 2017. But apparently this has been happening since the span of time. And apparently this took off around 2009, because that was when Ghana's economy was really bad. Like the GDP from recent times was the lowest around 2008, 2009. So in any case, that's when this kind of thing took off. And the president at that time didn't take it serious. He just thought, oh, it's just illegal mining, you know, they're not going to continue to do it. We don't really need to take a big deal on it. And instead of, you know, things dying down, things have actually gotten worse in terms of this illegal mining. Things have actually gotten worse. And now Ghanaians, they don't know what to do. They're really upset. I feel bad for the president, because this is a problem in which previous presidents failed to actually take serious. So now it's a problem that he's stuck trying to figure out, who do I hold accountable for this? Do I hold the Chinese accountable for doing this? Or do I hold the Ghanaians accountable? Or do I hold both of them accountable? And it's like, in order to hold these people accountable, you have to create bodies to hold these people accountable. Like, you as the president can't waste your time getting involved in this. So everybody's blaming the president, but it's like, who is letting all of this happen? You know? And for everyone who was earlier in this stream, I did reveal and I did say that this is a lot of Ghanaians' fault. Like, they want to act like they don't know how this happened. This is their fault. Their cousins, their brothers are selling these people this land, you know? And now they want to complain and go to the president, Mr. President, fix this mess. And it's like, you guys are all guilty, unfortunately. You know, but it's really sad. And I feel really, really bad, because this is Ghanaian people's blessing that they're messing with, and that they're letting other people mess with this too. You know, as for the foreigners, the Chinese that come to their land, when you ask the Chinese, you know, whose fault is this? Like, the Chinese just say, no, this is not our fault. This is you. You guys let us do this, and we're working with you. So it's like, they don't feel bad about this, obviously. They clearly don't care. You know, how did they get to that level where they have this confidence to say, oh no, this is not our fault. Like, you're the ones who show us the land. You're the ones who actually let us buy the land. You're the ones who are showing us where all the gold is. All we're doing is bringing our equipment and leaving. And that's literally all they're doing. I don't know, man, but it's really sad. And they're trying to like fix this, but the amount of bust operations they've had, like, there's so many of them in there. They said that an estimation is about maybe 100,000 mines in there. So it's going to take a lot of effort for them to get rid of it. And that's why in the video that I literally just played, they said that they have about 200 soldiers that are deployed to deal with this. But it's like, you need thousands. I know the money's probably not there, but 200 soldiers is not enough to deal with this. Especially if the soldiers themselves can be bribed. I even hate to say it, but that's the case too. Yeah, you're gonna have to do something really, I don't know what they're gonna have to do, but clearly they also need to change their immigration.
Don't know, don't control your money. We are not the owners. Chinese people don't know where there is gold. If you don't issue visas to Chinese people cannot enter into your country. They don't know where is the money. They cannot able to enter your country. How could we be able to do Galamsey in your country? Why? The question should be answered. Why? That is the support of the local Chinese.
Eti uti asema
So yeah, basically, you know, and I just want Ghanaians to really pay attention to what that guy said, because you could be angry all you want, but he's literally saying, "Hey, the, I just got here. Okay, basically, I just arrived. You're the ones who showed me everything, and now you guys want to come and say it's all our faults." They have a point. So Ghanaians need, like, I don't know, but this is horrible. It's really bad. It's just disappointing. You know, it's really disappointing to know that someone else could come to your country. We can't go to their countries. To all the Ghanaians and Nigerians, you remember last year when Corona was new and we were over there, and in China, they were kicking us out of their malls, they were kicking us out of their apartments, they were saying, "Oh, you're bringing this virus to our so they have the arrogance to literally treat us like crap in their countries, but when they come to ours, anything goes. Anything goes. It's absolutely disgusting. And this is what happens when you continue to do things like this. This is what happens. You know, when someone doesn't care anything about your land, they don't care anything about your resources, they care about literally just getting money from the gold, and then they just leave. And you have to deal with the problems. You know, some of when they create some of these mining companies, guess what? People have to evacuate from those areas. People have to find somewhere else to live, right? And then when these mines actually go out of business, that's the end of the business. So if there are businesses that are situated around these mining towns and these mining companies, when they actually leave, then those businesses also have to leave. So it's like, to me, the trade-off is not even fair if you think about it. The trade-off to me personally is not even fair. And I know I'm speaking from a place of privilege. I completely understand it, but that's also the fault of, again, your government, your chiefs. That's all their fault as well, because nobody should have to even go through this. Nobody should have to feel like their country isn't providing them enough resources so that they have to work with a Chinese person who's literally destroying their land and giving them pennies. Nobody should even ever have to be in that position. But the fact that people are in that position means that something is seriously wrong, like really, really wrong, really wrong. But yeah, if anyone has anything to add to this, I'm gonna try adding the link in again. I'm not using StreamYard, by the way, so I'm gonna put the link in the chat. So there it is. And yeah, but what I'll say, I'm trying to see if I could share something. Hold on. Yeah, that's basically what the land looks like after they're done. It just looks like water and mud And then obviously, as I mentioned before, shout out to everybody who just came in, but as I mentioned before, the water has chemicals in there. So it's like that land at that point, after they finish their illegal mining operations, that land is not even usable anymore. Most people don't have even, I'm pretty sure they could clean that up, but obviously most people don't have the money to clean that land afterwards. So that land just gets stuck there, uninhabitable, not arable, so you can't grow anything on it. And that's it. And the Chinese go back to their country and they don't care. But it's really bad. Like it's really frustrating because this has been happening since 2008, I can remember. But it's like this war is like we keep losing this war, unfortunately. Yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and add Bo to the stream. I've never used this before, so let me see. Hello? Can't hear you. Yeah, I'm not able to hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Wow, this is, yeah, I had to adjust.
Yeah.
So I come through all right? You can still hear me? Okay, I had to get used to this. But let me ask you from a tangible perspective, right? What ways do you see changing this? Because I have my own ideas, but I don't think it's feasible just understanding the culture in Africa. But what's your opinion on tangible ways you can actually change this realistically? Feelings aside.
Yep, I do not know. No idea. Unless maybe investing more into these illegal mining task forces. I'm not too sure.
Do you believe that the culture of Africa make it impossible?
Because it's not like obviously they
Do you believe that the culture within Ghana and Africa
Yeah,
in
because
general
what
makes it impossible? Where the power that they give to these kings and the autonomy that they have to do what they please on those lands that they quote unquote own or have control of makes it where it's gonna always create a conflict of interest.
Yeah, for sure. Because I have no idea why these kings and queens do it, but even
Hold
beyond
on.
that, it's like
Let's be honest.
they're
We
just
know why they do it. It's called money. It's called money, greed. That's why they do it. It's not brain science. What other motivation would they have to do it besides greed?
Yeah.
So I would assume the only thing realistically is for the government of Ghana to somewhat take control of the lands where they have the final say so, or
control over who buys and sell what on the land. Because if you look at the land guard that they have, right, that I always think about, that makes no sense, like the leasehold, like, so those type of laws you using to protect the land, but does it matter if the company only need 10 years to exploit the land and leave it? You know what I'm saying? So what are you protecting? Do you really want to protect the land, or is it just about owning worthless land in the future? If you understand what I'm trying to say, maybe I'm not saying
Yeah.
it right. But so
Yeah.
you have laws for
Yeah,
leasehold,
I get what you're trying to say.
and it seemed like the leasehold agreements is really for the benefit of the kings in those chiefs in those areas. It's not necessarily for how they portray it as though they had these leaseholds to protect the people of Ghana from foreigners buying the land. It's more so like it's just to keep the power with the chiefs. Or maybe I could be seeing that wrong. How do you see that?
Yeah, no, they're trying to get the chiefs to they're trying to take the power away from the chiefs, but that's going against the culture of the chiefs. So it's not really successful right now. Because I mean, those chiefs have owned land for hundreds of years, and those chiefs have fought for the rights to protect those lands. So it's hard to come up with a legal law to actually encompass that and encompass the allowance of the government to actually get involved as to who can actually own land and how to distribute it instead of actually going through those royal means and things like that. And even beyond the chiefs as well, I don't know, because see, the problem is, another problem is, they just come in there, right? And they'll come in there and say they're on a tourist visa or whatever, and coming there to visit. Like, they don't, a lot of them, I assume, don't even say that they're going there for business. And then they go in there and they work also with local Ghanaians to get these things done as well. So even though at first I was thinking, okay, well, Ghana needs to strengthen its borders and stuff like that, I think it's even beyond that, because these people lie, and then these people can also bribe other people to get things done. So I just, honestly, I have no idea. I do not know.
How much control does the government have?
I don't even know. Like, if people were to ask, how do we fix this?
How much control does the government have over the chiefs?
The government doesn't have that much control over this.
No, I'm saying over the chiefs specifically. Like, where does the government power supersedes the chief? Does it supersede the chief in matters of land and stuff like that? Or at the end of the day, the chiefs have the final say so when it comes to land?
Well, I would say the Chiefs are respected more. So even in the law system or the court system, the law system or the court system could say something, but the Chiefs, they'd still have more power, technically. Yeah. And they have more respect too.
Respect what? From the people?
Yes, from the people. Because they're royal, right?
Because it was a YouTuber, right? I don't know if you ever seen him. He an ADOS YouTuber named Kobe. He his name of his channel was Black American, and he used to do a lot of videos about, like, shit, I'd say all his videos was like some Black Americans versus African type stuff. But he lived in Ghana, and he owned the mining company over there. And he was talking about how when he first came, it was profitable. But when the Chinese came in with the illegal mining, like, it totally like collapsed the industry. And so he ended up selling it and moving to I think Liberia and trying it over there. But at that time, the way he framed it, it was as if the government didn't care. Like the government like allowed them to do it in some ways. Like it wasn't. I guess maybe this was before they seen the problem in it. So do you?
The government allowed you.
You know, I mean, sometimes I guess it takes people a while to see when something is not going in the right way. But initially, though, the way he said it from being over there was that they allowed the Chinese in there. Like they knew what was going on and the practices that the Chinese was doing, and they messed it up for them. But is this a new problem though? From your perspective, like how long does this date back? Is this something like your parents and all know?
No,
So
no, not at all. It became more mainstream around, let's say, early 2000s. Became more mainstream. I'm pretty sure this has been happening since forever, but in terms of like this violent Galamsey practices, it became mainstream around 2000s. And then 2008, 2009 is when there was kind of like a gold rush, literally a gold rush happening. And the governments they were okay with it. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. You know, the governments were kind of fine with it. I'm not sure if they were happy or not, but they weren't really as vocal about it as they are now. And that's the hypocrisy that I really don't like, because back then, when it was happening, Ghanaians didn't hold previous presidents accountable, but now they want the current president to like fix everything that happened for over 10, 15 years. All of a sudden, he just snapped his fingers and everything's supposed to go away. That's kind of why I feel a little bit bad for the current president, because the previous presidents just were doing their own thing. Like it wasn't really bothering them that much.
I don't know how true it is, right? Because I'm not that knowledgeable on this, but I heard that the main sites and areas affected by this are from the region where the president's from, like his village. That whole region over there is where a lot of this stuff going on. At is it truth to that?
To be honest, I don't even know what region he's from, but what I can say is because he's a member of the elite, like he's literally a grandson of a king, I could see the possible conflicted interests.
Where he profited some way
I will
along the
not
line.
expound on that.
Where somewhere along the line he profited from it, probably.
Yeah.
On another note, though, right? Back to my original note. Do you think it would be beneficial for Ghana's future for them to create a system where they minimize the reach of the kings and chiefs in those regions, or just in general? Because I got my own opinion on like I don't believe in monarchies personally. Like I'm against it. I don't give a fuck who it is, the King of England, the Queen of England. Like I don't respect none of them. So
Wait, you're against it?
yeah, I don't respect them. Like to me, they're another nigga. I don't care nothing about them. The Queen of England, none of them. You know, and I feel like they're just symbolic, but and they're parasites in a way to the overall. In overall, I just feel like they parasites. Like they eat up taxpayers' dollars and sit on the throne and present themselves as if they something that the people only their only power comes with the people buying into the whole ideology, you know. But over the years, you've seen many countries and all that, you know, rebel against these figureheads and go on just fine, and sometimes turn out better. If you think about how America was formed because a lot of people didn't buy into the whole concept of the royalty, the nobility. So do you think, just moving forward, do you think that whole class of nobility in Africa in general, but Ghana specifically, is something that should be carried on generations? Because I don't believe in idolizing people. Like that's just
If
fundamental.
possible, what I would Okay, if possible, okay, all right. I think one reason why Ghanaians are against also getting rid of especially the Asante Kingdom, is because there is an actual myth that if that kingdom ends, that's when Ghana's gonna go to like war. Like that's when Ghana's gonna disunify. They say that the reason why Ghana's unified is because of the Asantes. So that's probably one reason why a lot of Ghanaians don't want to do that. But what I think is, I honestly think that the royalty could still exist, but they just shouldn't have power. Like the difference between, let's say, UK nowadays, right, is that family doesn't have much power. They're just like a puppet cute family, but
Right.
they don't have as much power as obviously their ancestors did. So if that could happen, sure. And in regards to land, yeah, royalty should not be dealing with land at all, because some of these royalty, again, how do you hold someone who's royal accountable? It's kind of impossible. It really is, especially in a country in Africa. So
just let
but
them
I'm
keep
gonna
their
let
titles.
Titus go ahead.
So just have them
And
like the
then
figureheads, just with no powers.
yeah, for sure. If that's possible. I I don't know if it is, but yeah, Titus, you could go ahead. Okay, now you can go ahead. Not able to hear you.
I had to go into the settings and change my default audio settings. So they might need to go play with the audio settings that they see on the screen where it says settings at, and go to audio and check the default settings, because that's what was happening to me.
Yes, sorry about that, guys. For whatever reason, StreamYard wasn't working for me today, which is why I'm using this today. But yeah, I suppose before you get on the stream, you might have to actually change your microphone or default settings, because I'm not able to hear you, Titus. But I'll let you figure that out. And when you actually do, you can just interrupt and butt in. After Scope TV, are you here? You can unmute your mic.
Hello, greetings everyone.
Aquawa.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you said everything so well. Like from the beginning, just you were able to analyze the source of the problems all along. And I would like to delve a little bit into the solution, right? It's I think the solution is itself is complex, right? Because let me just start by saying that judgment must start from the king's palace, or judgment must start from the leaders. They cannot start the judgment from the ground up or from the locals. So first of all, the leaders of the country are also responsible, because before they are elected into office, some of them took monies from or were funded. Some of the political leaders, or most of them from those regions, were solely funded by these Galamsey operators or through the chiefs or the rulers. So if you specifically, I'm not gonna mention, there is one part of, totally part of, okay, that's the tribe that controls most of the, or controls the country. So when you are looking at the news, you are reading media and all of that, that tribe actually dominates, and that's the region these crises are coming from. So they are able to achieve their powerful, or they are able to their stronghold or of Ghana by using, okay, their wealth. That's through the gold. Even if looking at the colonial era or through the slavery era, where people were actually sold and guns were purchased to actually suppress minor tribes. And from then we see that the gold ceased a bit, but when new methods of mining came into being, they were also using it and using mercury and all those things to harvest gold. So uh, I would say that the judgment must first of all start from the leaders, because those leaders, most of them come from those regions, and they were primarily funded by the kings or chiefs, and also the how will I say this, by the so, and even when they get into office, what happens that uh, these foreign nationals, foreign national, they do take a lot of money from them and promise them like some level of power so that they can operate or to do certain things that they supposed to, that they want to do. So imagine you want to be a president and I want to fund your election. So when you win the election, what will happen is that you also have to give me the chance, or let me have access to some of your resources, and that will be through some negotiations, and it might be through regulations and policies that will be twisted to your benefit. So that's what is happening over the years. So these Chinese people coming in, it's not new. It's like it's just a continuation of what has been happening for so long. I would say the locals are also in this because over the years, we have all been corrupted through the political system where, in Ghana, we have this bipartisan politics where everyone belongs to that NPP or NDC, and it's not helping. It has actually divided the people, even though it's not something you see on the street, because Ghanaians are not like that. They don't show off like that. But over the years, this created massive division, and even looking at the tribal level of it, it makes things very complex. So I would say we, the citizens, we are looking at our poverty too much. That is why we cannot fight some of these issues. We care so much about our our situations, our financial situations. That's why we cannot actually stand up and fight for our rights, because these fathers fought for were actually, some of these forests were actually protected. You are not supposed to enter some of these forests without seeking some without approaching the rulers of the country. So I don't know how come they have turned it down or twisted it to the point that anybody can just go to the kings and give them drinks. There is this deep-rooted system of, and I blame it very well when it comes to this leaders. You just have to give them some money, brandy, some foreign drinks, and then give them some small money, and that's just how it starts. Then they'll give you access to. Oh yeah, boy, you can laugh, but this is one of the aspects of our tradition. And if you read into it very carefully, you realize that even during the slavery era, these leaders were offered drinks just to pour to their ancestors, and they believe so much in white man that the white man will provide a better life for their offspring, and will give them, especially in the coastal region where they have this long tradition of giving their children. So people are drunkards.
They call it
So most of them
pouring
are
the
drunkards.
libations in
Those
America.
leaders, those chiefs, they are drunkards. All they do is to drink and sit in their houses, and they are thinking about living in luxury. They don't know that actually living in luxury. What I say? Hello.
Yeah, we hear you.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we hear
you. Okay. So
Yeah.
some of this system, because these drunkards in these villages, they care about what they will take. You just have to give them small money and alcohol, and that's all. That's all. So and then the politicians also take advantage of them because they are not well educated to see the world through a bigger lens. Now that we are dealing with our religious system, it has nowadays we don't protect our environment anymore, because it's true that our traditional religious system that our environments are protected. That is why some of the river bodies, you are not supposed to fish in some of the river bodies on some days. It's just a way of preserving the water. And some of the forests, you are not supposed to enter this forest during certain times. But look at it now. People are crazy. It's the greed, the European greed that they have sold into our system, or that democratic or whatever Republican system. This is a system of this is a this system. They are gonna command development. I don't think it's gonna happen unless the leaders themselves figure out. We the youth have to one day, we just gonna wake up and then take guns and let's clear all of them up. That's just one thing. That is why we are having terrorism. That is why in countries like in Niger and Mali and Mozambique and whatever in the continent, there is extremism. Why? Because they can't see the future. They can't see the future. So when an Arab man showed up and said that we're gonna help you out, we're gonna supply you guns so that you can remove these leaders that are suppressing you. You easily fall for that. You easily fall for that. But at the end of the day, the leaders are not going to be hurt. They are never going to take the bullet. It's actually your cousins, your siblings.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
poor man working on the farm. These are the people that are going to face it. And our
I
system is
agree.
so messed up that these are the,
Titus joined.
Right. What I was gonna say is I agree with you when you're saying that the leaders, it doesn't affect them because again, the same Ghanaians are the ones that are complaining to the leaders to do something about this. But if something really bad happens, the leaders can just go to their houses in other countries. Like they don't have to deal with this. But we are the ones that, after they mess up our water, after they mess up our land, we have to live there or we have to move to the city because we sold our land. So it's like we're the ones that are going to be displaced, but the leaders are going to be fine. So there's completely different interests. But we're gonna let Titus go ahead, and we'll go to Kwesi, and then we'll come back around.
All right, can you hear me now? I had to switch my device. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the only thing I want to address, sis African millennial, is that from what I learned last year, Ghana, like I forgot what they brought in a Chinese person and nominate him as the chief, I believe. I don't know if you guys remember that.
That was different. That was about the
Yeah.
trees. That was about wood. That wasn't about that was
Well,
something totally different.
but but Bo, I know from your perspective, because I've been hearing and watching you, like even you guys can agree if this is if you're if you're nominating foreigners as chief or it's gonna
It was
this
an honorary position. I don't think he doesn't have like no power in that village or nothing like that. It was just like an honorary position.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right, that makes sense then, because it's just the fraternizing that it's just out of hand over there. Um, what was it, like 2 days ago? Gina, she showed a video of, I think it was Nigeria spokesperson asking for help, assistance from the West. So I mean, this, like I just don't get it. Like, do Africans have a problem with like the diaspora if we came there with our knowledge and skills? Because we can just, I'm just saying, like it probably would be it makes sense better to understand that since we have like the same outlook from most of the people on the globe, we should be more trustworthy than all these foreigners. Because I mean, even if African, if they travel to the U.S. And they get a job, it's going to say African or African American most likely. So you already discriminated before. You know what I'm saying? So it's just it just something confused me all the time. Like I just don't get it. Like you have scientists, people in your own community, but you never want to give them the chance. And then foreigner money, like that speaks numbers and that speak, so much royalty, and it's not even your own currency. And then they feel like they got some holy position or something. I don't know, man. It's just insane for me. Like just the whole concept is I just don't know. Like anybody can follow up on that. Like I just don't get it. Like
I think you're talking about something unrelated to the topic. I think that's like all honorary stuff. Well, it's pertinent, I guess, because the Chinese dude, I think Walter Meyer did a video on him and said he was in the lumber business. Like he had a company chopping down trees over there or something, and he got with the Ghanaian chiefs or whatever, and they gave him. So, but I don't think it make a difference. I don't think, me personally, I'm not really of the whole blackity black type hotep persuasion where, like, I don't care if a Chinese man exploiting or if a black man exploiting. Like, it don't make a difference. Like, if it's not benefiting the
same
whole,
thing.
it's the same thing to me. So a Chinese man only gonna do what you allow him to do. So talking about a Chinese man coming to Africa, hell, I feel like that's more so an indictment of the Africans than it is of the Chinese, because that's what the Chinese man's supposed to do. He's supposed to go where he could get him some money and do what he want to do. So I mean,
yeah, that's logical.
I don't really get. Yeah, I don't get caught up in the whole Chinese narrative. And it'll be the same thing as if they let you come over there and do what you want to do as a Black American,
Yeah. The
That's
money
all.
talk. That's all it really is, money. True. But the illegal mining that's been going on for years. African millennial, we know that, and it seemed like they haven't imposed anything for prevention, and you know what I mean. So, like you said before, they should start vetting people before they come in. But it's just the foreign money that speaks loud. It speak frequencies for them, I guess.
Do you think
Yeah,
it's
no.
best if they nationalize the gold mining in the country where only the government can participate in certain industries like that and nationalize the country's gold as a solution of
Uh,
African millennial?
I'm not too sure if it's Quissy. Do you know if it's nationalized?
No, it's not. They got private. I told you the dude, Kobe, he was a black American. He started a gold company over there. But you know, some countries they nationalize their resources. So like the gold would belong to the cut to the citizens to the country, and only the government would be involved in mining of the gold and stuff like that. Like there won't be able to be any
None of it is
private
nationalized.
gold mines. Do you support like nationalizing those resources like gold in Ghana?
Yeah,
Similar
we
Oh
to
should
yeah.
how
nationalize it.
I would say yeah, Bo Diddley. Shoot, it takes out that idea eliminates all the racketeering that can happen.
Yeah. Before anyone else responds, Quissy, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about today's topic, which is about Galamsey. I hope in the UK and people in the house are.
Afroscope TV joined.
Hello? What's that noise? Oh, I thought I heard something. Hello?
Yeah.
We hear you.
Yeah, so the Galamsey before 2007, 2008, before 2006, 7, when the Galamsey really picked off. Galamsey was always happening throughout Ghana, but it was mainly happening on the land itself. So it's the boys who do the Galamsey, obviously made by young men, because young men have the most energy. They're the one that can, do all the hard labor. So the young men used to dig big holes in the ground where they think there's gold, and then they sort of mine the gold there. But from 2006 onwards, it seems to be that they moved from mining Galamsey on land to the river system. That was the key difference here. So before 2006, 2008, Galamsey was already happening throughout the whole country. It was mainly happening on the land, and they used to, open these big holes in the ground to dig deep and mine for gold. And normally, when you're done, you're supposed to cover it. You feel because in many doing a fraud, you're supposed to cover the land once you're done mining. But the boys in Ghana, when they do, they don't cover the land. They don't put the dirt back in the hole in the land. So when people walk, and obviously, especially at night, they fall into it, and a lot of people lost their lives that way. Because by the time you fall into it, it will be deep. There will be raining season. There's water, so you can't get out because the sides are all muddy. There's a big hole. Sides are all muddy. You can't get out. So in 2007, they moved it to the river system. They went into the Brim. Brim is the name of a river in the eastern region. They went into the Pra, which passes through central region and Ashanti region. They went into River Cobra, which passes through western region. They started mining in all the river system in Ghana. You feel me? Because they were getting a lot more gold from these river systems. And the mining, the one thing they do is that a lot of people don't realize the sort of devastation the miners do. The miners, a lot of them are the villagers, in it. And when I was in the village myself last time I was in Ghana, what they do, because they aren't the government's onto them, they get one person to stand on the main road, and he acts as a watcher or lookout. So when you see like a government police car or a military vehicle coming, obviously they're going to arrest them. He would then call the guys on the river system mining, and they would run off. And basically, with the mining, they use a machine called Shanfine. Shanfine. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. That is what they use. They put the machine onto the river itself, And once they do extract some of the gold, they use a chemical called the mercury to wash the gold itself. Sometimes they put the gold in their mouth and they suck the gold to remove the dirt and the different materials from the gold itself. And a lot of them die that way. A lot of the boys who also stand in the river system whilst the gold is being mined, a lot of them have also lost their lives, you feel me? A lot of them have swollen legs. I even spoke to one on the phone not long. A lot of them have swollen legs because the chemicals and because they've basically polluted the water river system with chemicals that they use to wash the gold. And what a lot of them do is that a lot of these Galamsey guys, apart from the main boys in the village who do this Galamsey, a lot of them, the boys travel from village to village to do these Galamsey. So some people are from Accra, which is a city of Ghana. They may travel to Western region. They go there and they get because the gold brings a lot of money, and they get a lot of the ladies in the village pregnant. A lot of ladies in these gold mining villages have become pregnant, and they don't even know who the father is because once the guys are there for a season, they may be there just for 1 year. They get the ladies pregnant, and then they leave to the next village where they think there's more gold. You feel me? So it's actually breaking apart families. It's destroying lives. But for the most part, the local people don't really seem to care enough. You feel me? And I think the chiefs obviously are giving a bit of bribery money. They accept it. They keep their mouth shut. And even the village where I'm from in Ghana, they do that illegal mining there. And I think it's something that's happened all over the country. Really, I don't think anything is going to change it. I don't think the military or the police coming in to arrest is going to change it. The new guy as president is doing his best, but I don't think he can patrol a whole country. The Ghanaian government hasn't got the money and the resources to be all over the place at once because the river, as you know, is long. So, and one thing they do these days is that they don't mind during the day because during the day, when we spoke to them, because I spoke to a few of them, they showed me some of the gold they got in it. You feel me? Because the village I'm from, the boys there, they do that as well. So I know these guys. You guys are talking about it, and poverty is one of the reasons why they're doing it. And one thing they changed tactics. Back in the day, they used to mine in the morning, I mean, especially the afternoon. They don't do the illegal mine in the afternoons anymore. They now do it at night time. You feel me? Because at night time, the police and the military don't come to the villages. You feel me? They don't come to the villages to arrest them. You feel me? So they mainly do it at night time now. That's basically what they're doing now. They're in the river system at night, and that's basically what's happening. And a lot of them are dying. A lot of the people doing the illegal mining themselves are dying from the chemicals that's going into this. Sometimes the chemicals can go through their fingernail in their feet because they stand in the river, and the chemicals, the mercury they use to wash the gold, it washes back into the river because they're standing there. The chemicals goes into their body system through their nails on in their feet. So a lot of them have got swollen feet. A lot of them they can't even walk for too long. They can only walk for like 1 to 2 minutes, and they have to sit down and take a rest, or their legs begins to hurt them. A lot of them have died because another way is that they dig the ground, dig a big hole in it, they dig like a tunnel. They go in there and they mine the gold inside the tunnel. Sometimes the tunnel breaks down because the walls are not strong enough, and they get buried. They die in the tunnel. So a lot of these illegal miners are dying, and the funny thing is the money they're making is not much. You feel me? You would have thought the money they're making is a lot. It's not all that much. When I spoke to them, they make around sometimes a whole month they can make maybe 50 cities, sometimes 200 Ghana cities. This is not much money. You feel me? In a village, you're better off going farming or even staying home. At least you get food to eat, water to drink. So this legal mining that's going on, I really don't see the point. But again, African chiefs have once again looked the other way, which the other young man, the other brother was talking about. Ghanaian chiefs who are bribed with the money are looking the other way as this mining continues to happen. So it just shows you the problem within Ghanaian chiefs in general as to why they've allowed the river system to pollute. And if you look at the brim or the Broom River area where I'm from, a lot of the Okomfos, which is the fetish priests, they worship the river. You feel me? So for them to also just stand outside and allow these things to happen is shocking. It's shocking because back in the day, there used to be rules. You feel me? Centuries gone by, our ancestors used to have rules. On Tuesday, I think it's on Tuesday or Banada, nobody goes to the river. You feel me? Or if you go there, the brain will drown you. Nobody has to go farming because you have to cross the brain to go farming. These were rules that ancestors put in place. I don't think even these illegal miners are respecting it. So again, we seem to have, you know, drawn towards the capitalist system, where we've thrown the ancestral laws away in favor of the capitalist system. But poverty is making them do what they're doing, and it's very, very disappointing to see how the river systems in Ghana has been destroyed. And I think the root causes of it is the lack of employment in the villages. Because that's where all this mining is happening. It's all happening in the villages. The lack of employment and support and the lack of money for young men in these villages are there. But overall, if you live in a village, you can survive without illegal mining because they're not really making that much money anyway. You feel me? And if you, the ones who do manage to find like a big rock of gold, is not safe at all. Because if you do find a big lump of gold, you have to keep quiet and stay hidden. Because if the other miners find out you found a big rock of gold, they can easily, kill you and take it away from you. Because at that moment in time, everyone's thinking of themselves. So overall, it's destroyed the water bodies. I was in Ghana in 2010. I was there again I was there like a couple of years ago, 2, 3 years ago. It destroyed the water bodies. Um, yeah, so that's what I have to say for now. African millennial.
For sure. I'm gonna ask you a question, but before we go any further, yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that this is the issue that Ghana has been dealing with for, let's say, the past. Well, okay, yeah, illegal mining has always happened, but to this level, probably around. Well, I've known about this since 2008, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse. As Kwesi was explaining, we do illegal mining. Like Ghanaians themselves do it as well. But recently, Ghanaians have also been complaining about the other foreign nationals who come over there and do it as well. And it's like, who do you hold accountable when the chiefs are the ones that are selling the lands to these people, and then these people are actually ruining the lands? To me, illegal mining is not that bad so long as it's done responsibly, but it's not being done responsibly. And Ghana is actually facing, well, some of these rural areas in Ghana are facing huge environmental issues because of the chemicals that these people use when they're doing their illegal mining. And because of just all the water, the pollution, how those chemicals obviously evaporate into the air, how those chemicals go into the soil, how the soil then isn't arable because after doing this, you can't grow food on that land anymore. And you don't have the mechanisms to actually clean that land. So it's something that's pretty horrible. But before we go any further, I'm gonna play a short clip explaining this.
These young men are hard at work mining for gold in the eastern region of Ghana. What they're doing is illegal. They haven't gone through the stringent process of trying to get a license, but they're here with the consent of the landowner. Illegal mining, or Galamsey as it's called here, is taking place in countless sites like this across Ghana. The miners don't want to be filmed, but the leader of this group agreed to talk to us about why they're doing this.
This Galamsey here, at least every day you can get something to feed your family. And that's why everybody is pushing himself into this system to support your livelihood. You see, that's it.
But the work is dangerous. Is it worth it? It's so dangerous.
Oh, okay, if you take good care of it, it's not so much dangerous as you are saying.
They divert entire waterways in search of gold, and once they finish with a site, they often just abandon it. The small-scale miners who are licensed and regulated are required to reclaim the land. This group have been here for about a month now, and they say in the next few days they're actually going to be wrapping up. Now, they also say they're going to reclaim this land, but from what we've seen in this area so far, that just doesn't seem to be happening. This is just one of the abandoned sites we came across. And this is what's left of the River Brim, which runs through the area of Chebi. The methods the illegal miners use make the water murky and too dirty for the local community to use.
They normally treat with mercury and then cyanide. And these chemicals are also deadly for our health. Bear in mind that the water they are dealing with are for drinking purposes.
The boss of the government body in charge of regulating the mining industry admits that more needs to be done to tackle the problem.
We were not firm enough to stem the problem when it started. We did not nip it in the bud. So I think it is now for us to...
All right, so that was just a short clip explaining. But Kwesi, I have a question for you. It's the question that Bo asked earlier. Do you think that Ghana should nationalize this mining industry?
Yeah, I wanted to say something first. The village, the town that was shown, Chibi, that's where the Ghanaian president is from. He's from Chibi. And he's actually has some sort of relation with the royal family in Chibi. But this is happening in his back door, you feel me? Right in his back garden, you feel me? He's from the town that you showed the video clip from. And in terms of should we nationalize resources, again, I've debated Bo a few times. We cannot nationalize the resource because the resources in Ghana belongs to Britain. It belongs to the colonial master. It belongs to the multinational companies here in the UK. They are the ones that mine. They are the ones that mine for the Obuasi gold mine. If Ghana were to try to nationalize the natural resources, there'll be a coup, there'll be invasion, they'll throw the government, put in a new puppet. So even if we wanted to nationalize, it's not going to work because Britain, which was a colonial power and has first access to Ghana's resources, is not going to allow us to
Oh
nationalize
God.
it.
Right.
Let me ask you a question because I stay hearing this, right? And it all goes back to the helpless African narrative, right? I guess incompetent, helpless African, right? You got countries like Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's first oil was discovered by America. And then that's where the company Saudi Aramco came from, where it was actually the Americans that discovered the oil. But the Saudis had enough nuts and wherewithal to know, like, listen, we're going to do this, but we're going to cap it out. And after 50 years or whatever, then you all going to leave. And we're going to nationalize our oil reserves and we're going to own it ourselves. And it's going to be for our people. Why is it that Africans always go back, have like this whole fear or feel as though they can't do nothing because if we do it, the white man gonna be mad at us. You know what I'm saying? When other countries have showed you that you can stick your middle finger to them and do what you want to do. I mean, the Saudis have done it. They've showed you. It's other countries that's done it, that's nationalized their resources and are doing fine. Like, why is it only African countries that feel as though they need the white man, or they can't do nothing unless the white man give them permission?
Anyone want to take that? I don't know the answer to that question.
That's a good question, though.
Difference here.
That's a good question. Kwesi, you want to go?
Nations than the Arab nations. Yeah, they have a much tighter grip. They have independent economically. Their law was signed in Paris and London. You feel me? In the Britain, for example, being the colonial power in Ghana and many parts of the world, they tend colony and they have a much more heavier hand on the Black African countries, and we all know why. But it is what it is. In terms of for Ghana to come in and nationalize it, that's obviously a very good idea. It's a brilliant idea to nationalize it. The question is, once they begin to nationalize it, and then you would obviously want to sell it, the resources that you've got by at your own price, isn't it? You feel me? So for example, if you're kind of selling, I don't know, 1 kilo of gold for after nationalizing it, the
Yo, what the heck? Did you guys have issues hearing him, or was that just me?
He ain't talking about nothing, man. Let's get Afriscope perspective. Oh, Afriscope left.
Yeah, he out.
Oh, Quasi ain't talking about nothing. That's why his mic keep on messing up. The mic don't even want to relay that crap.
Oh man.
Bull, right? Greed is killing us here. If care is not taken, we might exterminate ourselves on the continent just because we want to live an Europeanized lifestyle of fantasized luxury and comfort. No, Afriscope TV, let me ask you a question. Most of the people who are doing this, and not to bring tribalism up, but most of the people who are doing this are from a certain tribe. That tribe is the tribe that respects their kings, right? That respects the royalty. Do you think that has something to do with it? Because all the other Ghanaians from the other tribes don't really care about the kings. They don't really care about the royalty. But the Asantes say, oh, we have to respect the kings and the royalty. So this is why we can't like overthrow them or diminish their power. So do you think that has something to do with it? Because if you ask my father's tribe, they don't care. There's no royalty. If you ask my mother's tribe, they don't care. But if you ask somebody who comes from that tribe, when it comes to holding these kings accountable, you can't do that because these kings are the ones who formulated the nation. And in as much as I respect the kings for doing it, it's not the present kings who did it. It was their families. Wasn't the present kings who did it, but whatever.
So all Ghanaians don't subscribe to the whole tribe and chief like monarchies in Ghana. Like they all don't. It's just specific groups that only like elevate these chiefs or whatever.
I would say yes, it's mostly a specific groups that care about that, whereas the other ones respect the fact that it's their culture, but they don't see the king as above human, or they don't see the king as having that much power.
Right.
And actually, these other tribes, they actually wouldn't mind if these monarchies didn't exist anymore. They wouldn't mind to exterminate them. But obviously, the dominant tribe is not going to let that happen because that's part of their culture, right? That's part of their, I don't know.
Their identity.
Yeah, there we go. Identity.
Yeah, I just realized that as I was speaking, I wasn't even on the live. My internet was playing around again. I hope you guys heard some of what I said in it.
We couldn't hear you before.
Did you guys hear what I said? Because my internet is a bit.
Yeah, we heard everything you said, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, but what was your point? Your point was that the Saudis are what, more united? What was your point again?
No, my point was that even if Ghana was to nationalize it, who do we turn to in terms of trade? Because we've signed contracts with Britain and multinational companies in the UK in terms of trade. So we can't just nationalize it and leave the contracts behind, because then there's going to be sanctions put on the country. That's my whole point. So, like I said, Britain and other European countries have a more heavier hand on the African countries than the other ones. So that's the situation here. But in terms of the Galamsey, it's going to continue to happen. There's a lot of poverty in the villages. So the boys, will continue to ruin the water bodies unless there's a lot more opportunities in the villages for young men. Then it's going to continue to happen. But it's sad seeing these water
Okay,
bodies
wait, let me ask you a
destroyed.
quick question though. Whose fault is this? Whose fault do you think this is? Who should be held accountable for this?
For the Chinese being in Ghana for the legal mining. Oh,
All of this. That's and the other aspect of it as well.
Can I just say one thing though before he answer that? Because there's something wrong with his thought process, right? Because gold is a commodity. You know what I'm saying? It's a store of value. So worrying about who's gonna trade your gold with you is the dumbest idea in the world. You know, when gold is a reflection of wealth, it's a store of value. It's a commodity. You know, people, you don't even really have to trade it. You know, like it has value that nobody else can't put a value on. Like the spot price of gold is the spot price of gold. You know,
no,
if
it's not.
if
The
Britain
value,
if
listen,
Britain doesn't want to trade with you with your gold anymore,
look,
there's other
the
countries in the
value,
world that would, because the gold is the value. You have the natural resource, you have the commodity, you control the market. You have enough gold to control the market.
no, no, no. That's not how it works.
Man, you
That's not how
crazy.
African millennium
That's
have
how it's worked. That's how it's worked,
African millennium.
Quasi.
Yeah, African millennium. Have you heard of this guy, Men's Gold in Ghana? Men's Gold.
Yes. What about him?
Yep. He tried to control the gold market in Ghana and in all of Africa. And guess what happened to him? Britain put pressure on the Ghanaian government to put him out of business. That's basically what happened. So Bo obviously doesn't understand what goes on in these African countries.
Okay,
He's
but
just
how
talking
can?
from
But that's a single person. If the country would have came in unison and support and said, you know what, no, we're not gonna put them out of business. You don't like it, so what? You know, if they would have had some type of solidarity and be like, you know what, we're gonna control the market. We run it. We don't give a damn what you think. Then it would have been a total different story. But they didn't have the testicular fortitude to say no. And so then they went along like a
yeah,
puppet, and you get what you get. You know what I'm saying?
you're right in the fact that they are puppets though. None of these African leaders are genuine. You feel me? None of these African leaders are. They all schooled. Ekufuado was schooled in the West. He came to school in Britain. He was groomed for that position to become future president. They're all puppets, all of them. None of them are genuine freedom fighters like the likes of Nkrumah or Mugabe. None of them have that rebellious spirit. They're puppets on a string. They're made rich and wealthy by Western powers, and in return, they do the bidding of the West. That's
But
it is what
but
it is.
but you're doing the bidding. You're supporting them doing the bidding of the West by saying no, they shouldn't nationalize it. They should remain on trading terms and don't mess up that relationship. You're
No,
promoting. That's what you just did, brother.
no. Let me finish. Look, I'm just saying to you, this was
Finish.
no. You
I'm giving you 3
wait.
minutes.
Can I
Finish.
finish? Yeah, you setting right on and nationalize it, and there are countries that have nationalized their resources. I'm going to name a few. Libya was one, and we all know what happened to the leader over there. Iraq was another country that nationalized its resources. We all know what happened to the leader in Iraq in the early 2000s. So it's not as easy as you think. There was even a leader somewhere, there was another leader who wanted to nationalize his resources. We all know what happened to the other leader. I forgot the name of the country.
So basically, you
So
scared of the white man. Basically, you scared of the white man and what they gonna say if you do it.
no, I didn't say. See, you're putting words wrong. I never said I was scared. But I'm just pointing out a few examples to you of what could happen to any African leader who wants to nationalize an important resources such as gold or oil. Because you have to understand the currencies we use in the world are backed by gold. You form so it's very, very
No,
important
no,
to the
it's not.
West.
They passed that system. We're past the gold system
No,
now.
the euro is backed by gold. The dollar is not backed by
It's
gold. The
not.
dollar is worthless. That's the reason why a lot of our countries do not want to trade they cannot say yes or no. But anyway, back to my point. In terms, I was basically trying to point out to you that a lot of the African leaders in Ghana are going with the flow because, again, they are thinking in terms of selfishness. If they are not going to lose their position as minister or president just because they wanted to nationalize something. So obviously they're being selfish and thinking of themselves. They're thinking of the money they can make. And to be honest, they don't really care about a country like that. For me. I hope I answered your question.
I see.
In terms of African millennials question in regards to who is to blame for everything that's happened, it's a mixture of a few things. Ghanaian leaderships, not all of them, some of them, they're the ones allowing the Chinese to come into the country in the first place. You feel me? And the locals in these villages are also to blame for allowing the
Afriscope
Chinese.
TV.
What's that noise? Hello?
Sorry, that's the sound that.
That's
Sorry,
the
that's the
stream,
sound
bro.
when
Yeah.
someone joins. Go ahead.
The locals of some of these villages are partially to blame because they are the one that have allowed the Chinese to come in, set up shop, and do whatever they want. You feel me? They're the one that have allowed the Chinese to come into their village, pollute their waters, destroy their water bodies, and do whatever they want. So the locals are also partially to blame. There's only so much the chief can do. The chief is just one person,
Right.
and he's trying to stop them, but the locals are not doing it. Then it is what it
But
is.
you're basically saying everybody's to blame, right?
Yeah, and particularly the local people who are from these villages. When I went to the village myself, the local people didn't really seem to care. There was no, I saw a lot of ladies, I saw a lot of guys, young men, you know, nobody seemed to care. There was legal mining happening at night. The shan fan, the machine that they put on the water, the river, it makes a very loud noise, almost like a generator. I don't know if you've heard how loud a
Okay,
generator is. It
I
makes a
got
loud,
you.
and at night at midnight, when I was sleeping in the village, my village, we could all hear it. But the locals didn't go to stop the boys from doing it, or nobody's questioning the boys early in the morning because they all know who the the boys that are doing the Galamsey. Everybody knows them. Nobody in the local village is saying you guys should stop what you're doing. You're ruining the river system. Nobody's doing that. You feel me? So the locals themselves probably don't really care. You feel me? Because if they really wanted to put a stop to it, they can. You feel
Right.
me? If they really wanted to put a stop to it and say, you know what, no, this has to stop, they can. But nobody seems to care. It's like, okay, it's happening. You know, everyone's numb in the village, innit? You feel me? They're numb. Doesn't really
Because they
affect.
broke. Because they broke. They ain't got nothing. They broke. That's how it is when you broke. You let certain stuff go by that you wouldn't normally do if you had the resources and other options. That's just the
That's
reality of life.
true.
But could we get
No, it's
Afriscope TV perspective on it? Because he's a Ghanaian on the ground, so I know he'll probably have a more in tune perspective of what's really going on.
You're muted,
he's
bro.
Afriscope.
Yeah, Afriscope.
yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, I
Wait, wait,
remember
wait,
when
wait,
we
wait, 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 wait. Okay, Afriscope, try once more. Before Quissy responds, we can let Mr. Nice go ahead as well.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of disagree with Quincy. That's the reason I tried to start the conversation because I'm not Ghanaian, but I kind of disagree with Quincy. Really, I feel like it should the responsibility it should be on the leaders, on the chiefs and the kings and the queens who selling the land because they're the ones selling the land. It's not the people the ones selling the land. So they the ones should be taking responsibility with the land. If Quincy is
no,
saying that
Mr. Nine, Mr. Nine. they're actually mining the gold on the river itself. So they've put a machine on top of the river, and they're mining the gold from deep down in the river. You
Yeah,
feel me?
I
So
I
the land,
understand.
the river doesn't belong to
Let him just
anyone
finish his
outside.
point.
The
Let
chief is
him
not
just finish
selling the
his
land.
point.
It is the boys in the local villages that are actually doing the mining themselves.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But who sold them? Who gave them the land though to
Nobody's
do it?
giving them the land because they're from the village. From I used to swim in these rivers.
Okay, you guys are talking about two instances. There's an instance obviously where Ghanaians do it to themselves on their own land, and then there's also a separate instance where foreign nationals or people who are not Ghanaian go to Ghana and do this as well. So both cases exist.
So which one we talking about here?
We
We're
talking about whatever you talking about.
talking
Okay,
about all of it because all of it applies to it.
okay.
Yeah.
So I understand the part that yeah, okay. I understand the ones that Ghanaian doing themselves. I understand that part, but my issue is the part where you know what the kings and the chiefs and the queen they selling the land to the people. That's my issue with
You're
with
not
the
getting the point, Mr. The chiefs are not selling the land. There
Bro,
is
can
the
you
river.
stop cutting him off? Let him just
Okay, okay.
articulate his point.
but then who's giving them the land to build these machines if nobody's giving them the land?
Look, they're mining the gold on the river itself. Nobody owns that part, the river. They're mining the only they are mining the gold on the river itself. That is why the rivers have become polluted. So they're not mining it because the video African Millennial showed you shows them mining gold on the land itself. But that's not how most of it is. Most of it is mined on the river itself. So they put the Shanfang, which is the name of the machine, onto the river itself, and the Shanfang digs deep down and digs out the gold itself from the ground underneath the riverbed. That is what's polluting the river system. It brings mud onto the surface. That's why the river system has turned brown muddy. So they're mining on the river itself. The
Quincy?
because they certainly pipe them.
So my issue is the part. I'm just saying the part where the kings and chiefs are selling the land to the people. That's my I'm focusing on. I understand that the other parts where the people are doing to themselves. And African Malay, they talk about that. My issue is the part where the chiefs are selling the land to the people who are destroying the land. That's what I'm focusing on.
Are you talking about the Chinese?
Yeah, I'm talking about China who gave who the chiefs are giving them the land.
It's probably individuals selling their land to the Chinese because individuals own land as well.
But African man said majority of the land are owned by the chiefs though.
The chiefs are partially to blame. You feel me? The chiefs are partially to blame for what is going on. You feel me? But I remember when we asked our granddad in 2010, because the river Broom is polluted, it's muddy. We asked him who brought the machine onto the river, and he said he doesn't know. So a lot of the local people say they don't know, and they're in the village, and they're like a 30-second walk from the river. So a lot of them don't know how the machines came there, and they don't care. This is what I'm trying to point out. A lot of them don't care that the waters is being folks
Well,
are making a bit of money from it. And the local people don't really, at least in the village I'm from, don't really seem to care that the water body is being polluted. 'Cause if they did care, they would have put a stop to it.
but you from one village though. What about the other villages? You think they don't care also?
Yeah, they don't.
But
Because they are the ones doing it. They are the ones polluting the river system. Do you get it? It is the villages it's the boys from these villages that are doing it.
okay,
You understand?
but didn't you? But then we just seen that these boys lost their jobs and the farming area. They had to make money some other way.
Come again, I didn't hear you properly.
So then we just seen that with these they lost their jobs, their farming area, they had to make money some other ways.
No, they just want quick money. You feel me? They know the work, the life, the work of a farmer going to the farms is a bit difficult. You feel me? You know, you have to pick yam, plantain. You have to get a machete to, work the ground, and they see that as hard work. And you
But
see
how
that
do you know that though? They
because I'm
tell you?
from there. No, I'm from there, so I know them. I know some of the boys that are doing this, that are polluting the waters in the first place. I know some of them personally. I grew up with them. I know them.
All right. Then I don't got nothing to argue about.
Yeah.
Someone else can go.
The only thing I got a question if they're not gonna discontinue this, like the villagers, can somebody just at least like give them a better method how to, mine the gold and all that? I study chemistry, so I know a lot of people don't know that. Like I studied chemistry for quite a few years now, and I know it's different methods you can use, and the water can be, it can be refined again. It's, it's not impossible. It just, um, like they need to like link up with people who can cast like machine and or metal itself and turn it into machinery.
Hey,
Yeah, you
let
feel
me
me?
ask a question, because they said the difference with the illegal miners and the licensed miners is that they have to reclaim the land. What does that mean, reclaim the land? Because they say the illegal miners just leave the land after they finish and abandon it, but when you get a license, you have to reclaim the land. What does that mean exactly?
Are you asking? Who are you asking? African millennial.
I'm not sure what that means. I'm assuming that means that you have to report on it, report on the land.
Can you elaborate on it? Can you say it
I don't
again?
know. It was in the last video clip that she had. I'm not sure. She said they said the problem with the illegal miners is that they leave the land abandoned and they don't reclaim the land like licensed miners.
Right. So I'm assuming that means that they just leave the land and there's no paperwork or there's no follow up on the land and it's just left like that and you can't do anything after that. Like the responsibility of who needs to clean up or who needs to deal with the remnants of whatever is there. It's not
Right.
assigned to anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
But one funny thing
So
is that
treachery means fill the quarries. Okay. I guess that's what it means. I don't know.
What it said?
Holes? Yeah. Okay, so basically just to clean it up and make it look better
Yeah,
again?
recycle. Yep, like the EPA usually do.
Right. Yeah. Basically, like get it back to how you found it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Extracting all the chemicals, that's causing harm and all that, like nuclear waste and everything like that. So
Right.
so people can't, because remember these rivers we used to drink it. We used to drink it. We used to bath in it. We used to swim in it. I remember, drinking this river. I remember bathing in it.
Yeah,
We used to go for swimming. We can't do that anymore because the river doesn't even flow. It doesn't. A lot of the river system in Ghana doesn't flow anymore. If the river doesn't meet, it's static. It stays in one place. It's muddy. It's full of chemicals. You can't even catch fish in it anymore like we used to. So again, I think the local people are partially to blame because the leaders are sitting in Accra,
Yeah, okay.
sitting in
I
Parliament.
okay, I agree with you, but in terms of see, I see things in degrees to blame. The locals, yeah, you can blame them, but you can't blame them that much too, because they're just dealing with their resources. They're dealing like they're not that educated. They don't know. Okay, they have no idea of what they're
That's
doing until
really
after it's done.
irritating.
So how can you then, I feel bad for these locals too. Because I'm pretty sure if they knew the impacts of what they were doing, they wouldn't do it.
Look, the local people are not stupid. They know what they're doing is polluting the waters, destroying water bodies. They know. They're not stupid. You don't have to be educated to know, to have common sense or something. They know what they're doing is wrong. And they have to look because they are the ones doing it. You feel me? You're not gonna get a guy from 2, 3 hours village away mining and it's the local people themselves that are working with the Chinese people. The Chinese people are having locals to do them. At the video you showed, the Chinese are working with the locals to do this. You
Okay,
feel
well,
me?
what's the solution then? Because you can't just keep, because the locals are, they're poor, they're gonna do whatever, and they don't even have probably the technical know-how to do. But what's the solution though? Like, you can't just keep on saying it's the locals, because if it was something that affected the elites or the chiefs, then the locals would be put in their place and it would stop. So I mean, like, so trying to put it off on the locals is kind of like low hanging fruit. Like, the locals are low hanging fruit. Like, we know they live in that area, where it's happening at, and they know what's going on. But they're not the, I won't say the catalyst, but they, like, if it was up to the locals, it probably would be just on a small level. But I don't know. Like, it got to be bigger than the locals. Like, just saying it's the locals.
When I spoke to them, but they were showing me gold, telling me to buy some of their gold, and
Bro, we heard that. We saying like, how could we move forward with, like, how do they move forward with it? Like, what's the solution? Like, because it
move
got to be a
forward.
bigger,
How do we put a stop to it?
yeah. Like,
Did you
It's the
say you
local
gotta put a
people.
stop to it?
The local people, they have to put a stop to it themselves.
the local
The
people are
elderly,
powerless, man. They broke. They can't do nothing. People powerless. If a
Exactly.
group of Chinese investors
We
come
have
in,
soldiers that are protecting the Chinese nationals because the soldiers are probably not even getting paid enough by the government. That's how corrupt this is.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
but you guys are not listening to what I'm trying to say.
All right,
But
go ahead.
no, Bo is trying to ask you the solution. That's all. Like
Yeah,
we
that's what
know
I'm
they're
saying.
gonna we know they're gonna continue doing it. But like I was just like I stated before, like isn't there a better way they can do it? You know what I'm saying? Better method. Uh, From what I'm looking at all these photos, honestly, this just costs a billion, like billions of dollars to make these filtration systems, distillation process, just to get that water purified once again. I'm just letting you know from what I see.
Yeah, again, like I was saying, these boys that are doing this, you see,
God
these boys
damn, you
who live
keep
in the
saying the
Chinese.
same thing, man.
Let me finish in it. I'm getting to my point, and these boys that are working with the Chinese, they're not even making much money. So I really don't see the point as to why they're doing this in the first place. They will earn more money doing a normal 9 to 5 job in a village or towns than what they are doing. You feel me? In terms of the solution, it's up to the chiefs to finally act like a chief, be a leader, and put a stop to it because the chiefs have the power to do so. The government doesn't really care as much as you think they do. You feel me? Because if they put a stop to it or not, it's not gonna harm them or anything. But the chiefs who own the land, who rule these areas, who have seen the water bodies being destroyed and the pride of their nation or the pride of their tribe, which is the river system, being destroyed, they have to put their foot down and be strong because at the end of the day, they are bribing their chiefs in order to operate these illegal mining. So the buck stops with again, it stops with African chiefs. African chiefs and Ghanaian chiefs have the power to stop it. They have to stop it themselves. That's the solution to it.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution.
Well,
Did anyone
one thing about it, though, I'm gonna say this, right? One thing about it, due to Twitter moving their headquarters over that, and I heard that Jack Dorsey's supposed to be living in Ghana 6 months out of the year. And one thing I know about, like, those social justice liberal white people, like, they into that environmental type stuff, like they into that real big. So I guess now that the white man's coming to Ghana and investing over there and gonna be calling y'all out real soon, you're gonna have a bunch of little white girls, engineers walking around doing documentaries on it. Maybe we might see some change.
That's sad. I think that's really sad that it has to take a white person to come to
Hey,
solve the
you don't
problem.
believe that though? You don't
No,
believe
I
that
believe
though?
it. I believe it.
Hey, we've seen it plenty times, bro.
I believe it. I believe that as soon as white people see it, they're gonna do something about it, and that's sad. That's completely sad. That
And
it
Mike,
has to take someone from outside to come in to say something about it.
As soon as Jack Dorsey go to one of them Galamsey sites and go in front of the Ghana president or one of them chiefs and talk to him like a little boy, talk to him like a sucker, like, man, what the fuck? Watch what happens.
That's sad. It shows that African
he
leaders are
been
not
real
leading.
though. He been real, honestly. Shoot.
And that's sad. I think that's really sad because I believe that will happen. It's always happening. Whenever a white person sees something, and he goes and talk to these African leaders like they're just little kids, and they get back in the line and follow what the white man says.
So
So
like I
yeah.
said,
Hey,
it all boils down to greed, innit? You feel me? Because even without these Galamsey being done, a lot of them still have normal lives. You get food to eat, water to drink. You have the basics in life in a village, innit? At least in Ghana. But with the Galamsey, they make a bit of money here and there. Sometimes they can make around 200 Ghana cedis a month. Sometimes they can go a month without making.
What are you talking about?
Quincy, I don't think no one cares how much the money they make.
I'm talking about. No, you're not understanding because the money is what's making them do that in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? That is the motivation behind them doing that in the first place.
Yeah, you're right. We get it.
Exactly.
I mean,
But
so that basically you're saying that this is not going to stop until they have other sources of income, right?
Exactly my point.
And that's why I'm giving you
Whose
these
fault is that? Whose
implications.
responsibility is that?
But the thing is, there's always gonna if it's about money, or you saying resource, there's always gonna be somebody broke in the village. Like, there's not gonna turn around tomorrow and make everybody in these villages start earning $20,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? Overnight. You know what I'm saying? There's always gonna be somebody broke left behind in the village. So you can't say that, oh, they need, because what is there to come out there? Like, I don't believe that these look like remote village, like rural villages too. So I mean, what are they gonna do? Like, people still gonna, if there's money to be made, if they gotta bring people from other villages in there to mine those mines, you know what I'm saying? I seen one mine where Chinese had Chinese people in the mine mining it. You know what I mean? Like, the Chinese had them brought in their own work crew. You ever seen that before, African millennials?
I seen that too, bro.
Of course.
Yeah, so
Yeah, the Chinese gonna bring their crew to be, high up, and then
yeah, they had a whole bunch of
the
Chinese
Indians
people
can
in
go
there
in and
running
actually
it.
go in the mine and sacrifice their lives, but the Chinese
So
will be, the managers and stuff.
I don't believe, that's why I say I support nationalizing it, because when you nationalize a commodity like that, the government now has an incentive to police it and make sure, because now once you start exploiting the land, now it's as though you're stealing from the government, and that gives them a different incentive to really crack down on it and make sure nobody's
Exactly.
and then they'll start holding those chiefs responsible for people that mine on land in a kingdom, and you'll be able to create a structure where you can police it. But now, if it's all like the Wild Wild West, like y'all say, the gold rush in the Wild Wild West, then then you're gonna have people doing all type of craziness and don't care, and nobody's gonna be held accountable.
No, bro. Even if the government
Bruh,
nationalize it or whatnot,
whatever, man.
people, the young men in the villages are still going to be doing this
Yeah,
Galamsey.
yeah. And then that's when the chief find out about them. And then when the chief find out that they doing it, because the chief know he don't want the federal government to come in and start regulating him, he gonna line up all those little boys he find in the Galamsey and beat them 10 times with a cane in the middle of the village. You know what I'm saying? Or throw them in jail.
Boys right about that. The
Yeah,
chief are
Bo
getting
was right.
line really quick if if the European government's brought it in. So,
Well, yeah, that's true. Nobody, see, the Chiefs are not scared of anybody. They're not scared of the government.
Yeah, but okay.
They're
A
like
lot of people don't
some of the
understand.
Chiefs
You
are
can't
literally
walk into
related to Nana. That's what I'm saying. Nana has conflicted interests, and if even if it wasn't Nana, like, come on, when has
who's
Ghanaian government ever stopped? Oh, the president,
good.
the Chiefs. Yeah, see the president as co-equal because the president comes from a royal family as well. So it's like, even aside from that, when has the Ghanaian government actually went after the chiefs as opposed to going after the actual Galamsey people?
That's the thing. The government needs to go after the chiefs. That's to say, put all of them to start to make them as an example.
Right.
Once
You think
once
so?
yeah,
Yeah, but a lot of,
once the
yeah,
government start going
you
after
have
the chiefs gonna get in
to.
line.
But see, I guess
How
the
about people
conundrum,
against they're doing it themselves?
I guess the problem comes when the chief has influence or the chiefs are from the same tribe that the president's from. I guess that's where the conflict of interest come in because the president's not going to go against his own chief.
First of all, this I think the president's there to run the country. That's his main focus. It shouldn't be nothing else. His focus should be protecting his people because once you become a president of a country, your one job is protecting everybody in the country to make
You,
sure everybody are safe.
you
That's
think
your
that's
main
what
job.
you think that's what Africans presidents believe?
Nope. No,
Bo.
they don't. But I'm saying that's
What do you think? What do you think their main job is?
do nothing, just become rich.
Get rich. So I mean, it's a conflict of interest, I guess, especially when your tribe or your region is known for exploiting the gold with all the gold and all that. Then it become a different conversation. That's why I think all Africans need to rebel against that whole like chieftaincy type tribal hierarchy type mentality. Like I don't give a fuck. I don't respect nobody. Like I won't kneel to no Ghanaian chief. I wouldn't give a damn. Like
Yeah,
he's
but
just another dude to
bro,
me. And I'm just saying,
but
when you got a group of people who have that mentality, then they're gonna expect more from their leaders. It's like when the French had the revolution, when they what her name was Antoinette, the let them eat cake, and the French people like, man, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? We gonna kill this bitch. We gonna revolt. You know what I'm saying? And every succeeding president after that knew if you got out of line, that they don't respect you, they don't care nothing about you, they'll kill you. It brings about a difference in society. You know, it brings about more accountability from leadership. But when leadership know that you'll kiss the ground that they walk
yeah,
on, then they don't care. They'll tell you anything.
yeah.
That's
African
true.
Million. I wanted to say one thing. Like the government obviously has licensed gold mining sites in Obuasi, where they work with multinational companies. And obviously, these guys are doing it illegal. The other guys, the Galamseys, are doing it illegal. One thing I do want to say is that if the land is owned by the chiefs, how the hell can the government implement their policies of saying no to illegal mining? Because if the land belongs to the chiefs and the local people, and they allowing this illegal mining to happen, sure, the government can't challenge their rule.
Actually, the government can do whatever it wants at the end of the day.
Exactly.
If you doing something if they don't like in United States, you can own a land in the United States, right? If you
Eminent
do anything
domain.
illegal on it, the government will come in,
Confiscate.
kick you out.
Not
Yep.
just that, but the government can come and take your land and deem it eminent
And
domain.
then put
Yeah.
fines on you too. Yep.
Yeah, claim it eminent domain, and then that's that. You know, so just because you own land in America, that don't mean you just do what you want to do on it. Like the dude said, there's still certain parameters and procedures that you still got to adhere to.
You know, so you can't dig without asking permission on your own land. You will have to go to court first.
But
Right.
you
Get a
got
permit.
you guys know in Africa you can build your own house. You can't do this in the world, can you?
I get that, but
In
there should
Africa,
be rules.
Yeah, we need more rules. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
there should be more rules, but I think there's a lot more. Okay, for right now, what the Galamseys are doing, they don't. They do the Galamseying at night time now because they know the police work obviously morning, afternoon, and at night everyone's gone home. That's when they do the.
Anyway, man, y'all take it easy, man. Galamsey out.
All right, Bo, you out?
So in terms of solutions, I think the government needs to look at the economic side of things, providing more opportunities for the youth or young men in these villages. Then that's one way to reduce it by giving out more opportunities to the young men. I think they can reduce it, but unless there's more opportunities, it's going to continue happening, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I think that this is a I hate to be so pessimistic, but I think this is a problem that's gonna be here for a while until maybe more people actually get arrested because I haven't really heard of people getting in trouble because of this. I've heard of maybe obviously like the foreign people, some of them getting deported, but unless more people actually get arrested behind this, I don't think the problem's going to go away, unfortunately. At least is what I think.
That's the thing. It's
Until
hard to African millennial. I listen.
Yes.
It's hard to arrest them simply because they've got lookouts in every angle. And if you know anything about villages in Ghana, a lot of villages in Ghana are remote in thick, dense forest. It's very, very
Yes.
hard for the authorities to really get at them. Because by the time the authorities are in a nearby village and obviously driving, they're on their way there. That's how it is. Do
Right.
you understand what I'm saying?
until they like create a sector where they watch that river area, like somebody have enough money to invest into an industry where they monetize that, and they know who it is, because then they can't do what they're doing right now. But from the looks
And
of it,
again,
it's
even
not that river is not really as poison. It's not like nuclear waste where it's something more. You got to be uh, very specific with the chemical structures and all that. Um, really, they just need like a filtration system and distillation. Somebody go there and test the water and just see what contents inside of it.
So are you actually saying it's not as bad as it looks?
I mean, it looks horrible from the picture. Yeah, I'm not saying like it's not. What I'm saying is it's not a harm to like where you have a short term life or something like that. It's not like cancer causing like in 5 years, like nuclear waste or the nuclear waste change your structures. It changed your structure of atoms, your atomic structure. So this, from what I look like, the looks of it, they just need a filtration system. Filter the water out and get it back to the soil and let it dry. And then, like I say, it's a major project too. So they had to filtrate the water. Then put it, just pour it right back in, dispense it back into that area, and probably set up some like rebars, and put a little concrete for the support system of the river.
Right. Okay. I see. I see. So in any case, I think we're just gonna do closeouts. I want to thank everybody for being here. I also want to thank the audience for being here, for everybody who commented and contributed. Definitely appreciate it. These are discussions that are obviously happening on the continent as well. So in the future, if they do come with some more concrete solutions, instead of just saying that they're going to deploy soldiers and stuff, if they come out with some other solutions, I'll let you guys know. With all of that being said, though, we can start down from Mr. Nice, Quissy, and then Titus for closing statements.
I would not much to say, but yeah, God needs to fix the problem before it gets way worse than it is.
Right, right. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, Kosi, you can go next.
Yeah, in terms of the problem itself, it's very new. It's just over a decade ago that Ghanaian river systems started getting polluted by Galamsey. The life of a Galamsey is not beautiful. They don't really earn much, and a lot of them die within 3 to 5 years of the work because it's very backbreaking. There's a lot of chemicals involved, standing in the water, a lot of them fall ill. So if the Ghanaian government provides some sort of opportunities to make money, maybe some training, no, in teaching them skills to get jobs, it will convince a lot of them to leave the Galamsey and pursue other means of earning money. And then in terms of how the Ghanaian government can tackle it, it's going to be very, very difficult unless the chiefs sit down and say enough is enough and decide to put a stop to it. I think the power now lays with the chiefs, not the government. The government has power, but the people who can truly stop it are the chiefs in these villages themselves. They can stop it. And the local people, they are the only ones that can truly stop it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for your contribution. I agree with that. Titus, you can go ahead.
Uh, from what Quasi said, I agree with what he said. Like, if you wanted, this I don't even know what to call it. If you want it to be discontinued, maybe the chief would do something if they know who the people are. They know who the individuals are. But if it's to the point where, like you said, if they're in poverty, it's nearly impossible for something like that to change. But the only thing I can really say is maybe the government or a collective people with you do something for that river if it was useful for the environment, if it was part of the source of food and everything else, because water is like very essential to everything. So uh the only thing I can say for this, like, if they want to discontinue this, whoever's like responsible for letting these individuals do these projects, illegally, they should take accountability for anything that's continue and cause harm to themselves or the environment. So, but from Bo Diddley point of view, I agree what he was saying. Like, they shouldn't nationalize it because there'll be more regulations and policies. So, I mean, that's all I really can say. I just hope the people can like advance themselves and learn different methods if they do continue to do such things like this.
Right, right. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and again, thank you so much for calling in. Your opinion was really important, and I also did like how you say that you know, if there is a filtration system that they could use, that at least some of these rivers could be salvageable, because we were under the impression that some of these rivers were just gone, that there was just nothing that could be done.
No, they can. Yeah, they can definitely do something about it. It's different. It's different ways. You just gotta get the blueprints and really, the landscape, map it out. And the only thing that probably would have a problem with, I heard what he said about mercury, because that's like one of the heavy metals, and mercury is not a solid metal. So, and if it's mixed in with other things, it become very poisonous too. So they can test it for that, test it for lead. Lead is hard to, you can't even dissolve lead really in many acids. Like sulfur detects lead, but if they can do all these things, they can figure out how to filtrate that water system, like that river, and get the soil to back level where the river actually can flow, how it was before. So it just you just need someone to do landscape of that area, like like civil engineer or something. But
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right. Thanks once again.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me on, sis.
No worries. Yeah, guys. So again, thanks for being here. Um, what I wanted to say though is I'm not sure. See, I'm not sure about the landscape of Ghana and the people in Ghana right now, because I'm not there. And when I was there, that was a while ago, things changed. But I don't know, maybe Ghanaians, the ones who are in Ghana and the ones who this affects the most, maybe they should actually protest about this. I know that sounds kind of far fetched, but I don't know. Maybe if there's more media coverage about this, like more Western media coverage, that could possibly do something. I know I'm someone who, normally says, oh, we don't need the West, we don't need the West, but maybe we need the West's exposure on this so that people can kind of understand how serious this is. Because at the end of the day, we covered the reasons why people do this, right? Like there's not enough money, enough jobs aren't available. But, and then Kwesi did say that a lot of these local people don't care. But if you can publicly shame people for doing this, maybe that can help. I don't know. That's what I'm starting to think. I'm really starting to think that some Ghanaians should really do what the Nigerians did and literally just protest about this for real. That's honestly what I think can possibly help with this situation. Um, but it's a bad lifestyle. Okay, I got you, I got you. But in any case, guys, thank you so much for being here. Shout outs to everybody who is here. Shout outs to Kwesi, Titus, Farah. Who's this? Julia, GK, Bo, Brian, Mr. Uganda, Diego, Real Stella Stella, Joshua, and all the other people who were here earlier. Just gonna close out with a thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys with another video topic. I think I wanted to, in this video, right? I wanted to speak about this, but then I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't easy on the Ghanaians, because if you guys watch a lot of the Ghanaian news stations, they'll be talking about this as if it's all the Chinese people's faults, right? But in as much as I hate to say it, like this has nothing to do with Chinese people. This is Ghanaians not taking care of their land. This is Ghanaians not caring about their land. And then after they finish ruining their land, then they want to blame the president and say that the president isn't doing a good job. So I don't know. When you ask me who is to blame for this, I guess my blanket statement would be everybody. If you're asking me who should be blamed the most for this, I don't know. I would say the elite because the elite always seems to be the ones who don't care about anything. So I'll definitely say the elite is the number one culprits for all of this because, as somebody mentioned, a lot of these things are happening in the city that the current president comes from. So I'm just wondering, doesn't he know that his city needs help then? Why is he not investing more into his city? Why is he not investing more into his hometown? Like, I don't mean to go on a rant, but I just want to make it very clear. I really, really don't trust that president. He's just so two-faced to me. There's just something about him. And I know a lot of people are going to be shocked because, you guys hear him say all these good speeches all the time, but there's just something really sinister about that president. It's just like there's just something that's just so. And it's not conspiracy. It's literally he's a member of the elite. So I'm not really sure why people trust him so much. Like he's here talking about, oh, we don't need help from the West, blah blah blah, colonizers, blah blah blah. But you went to school in the UK. Your father was a member of justice. Your grandfather was a royal member. Like, does this guy really know how to relate to local Ghanaians? I don't actually think that he does. But he's a nice guy. He's not trustworthy. He's not. But in any case, I will leave right now and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.